Chapter 76. There are countless deep pits, large and small, ranging from hundreds to thousands of meters in size to tens of meters in size. The cracks that spread for kilometers are as terrifying as spider webs. There are densely packed weapons stuck upside down on the ground. The shapes of these weapons are all normal. Swords of various shapes, Chinese sword shapes from various dynasties, Western cross swords, guns, knives, single crescent halberds, double crescent halberds, etc. Each weapon is very beautiful and exquisite in shape. There are many lines carved on the weapon and it exudes little golden fluorescence, which is very beautiful. As for the lava demon, it had already been wiped out by this gorgeous firework bombing performance, without even leaving its soul. Wang Baixiao looked at the results of an experiment and nodded with satisfaction. Behind him, the golden vortices dispersed one after another like mirrors with invisible ripples. At the same time, thousands of weapons stuck upside down on the ground disappeared along with the golden light spots in the sky. Click! There was a sound of shattering mirrors in the world in front of him, the world shattered, and Baixiao returned to the real world. A golden magic circle lit up under his feet, engulfing 740 with brilliant light and shadow, and he disappeared. In a blink of an eye, Camartage, still the same Camartage, arrived in the main hall. The Ancient One, whose appearance and temperament had not changed, was kneeling on the couch in front of the square low table, sipping from Shilin's steaming teacup. Opposite, there is also a teacup. Obviously this teacup is just for Baixiao. Baixiao was not surprised. He walked straight over, sat down cross-legged, picked up the teacup and took a sip. As for the boiling hot tea for ordinary people, it had no feeling at all for him. You are leaving. Ancient One put down the teacup and looked at the man in front of him with a smile. Although he was questioning, his tone was very sure. Baixiao nodded. I have finished learning what I should have learned in 2 years, and what is left is what I need to do. 2 years is such a short time. Although I have thought that your ability will be very good, I still underestimated you. Ancient One's calm face showed a slight change when he said this. It was a kind of admiration and incredible. With her low eyelids, she will read all of Camartage's magic books in just 2 years. This reading is not just about memorizing the content, but completely understand it. And created and improved Baixiao's own magic system. Many of the ideas amazed even her. For example, she just secretly observed the king's treasure. Gorgeous, gorgeous, powerful. Baixiao's lips curved. I'm still grateful for your help, Ancient One Magician. If you really appreciate me, you should take over the responsibility of Sorcerer Supreme. Ancient One rolled his eyes. Baixiao didn't answer this question and asked him to be a tool. It would take a stupid and free person to take on the so-called responsibility of protecting the earth. How tiring it would be. He was a worker in his previous life, and he is still a worker now. Then didn't he travel through time in vain? I believe you have your own plan, why don't you talk about that guy named Strange? It's incredible that you have actually reached that point. Ancient One shook his head. I heard that your disciple pursued darkness and took refuge in Dormammu. Do you want me to kill him? He seemed to dislike me very much before. Baixiao changed the subject and talked about Guxi's son. Caecilius was originally the most outstanding disciple of the Ancient One. His ability was very high. When he was in his 20s, he surpassed many senior magicians in magic attainments. Silent and hard-working, this is his label. And he doesn't care, about many people in the outside world, and he is an extremely lonely person. It's just that the arrival of Baixiao caused some changes in this man's heart, mainly because of Baixiao's special nature. He has the special right to go to the library at will, and even watch the taboo black magic. An Ancient One obviously showed a completely different attitude towards Baixiao. This made Caecilius, who considered himself the most outstanding disciple of the Ancient One, very uncomfortable, but he did not show it, and there was no bloody drama about taking the initiative to fire and Baixiao using magic battle to win back the heart of the Ancient One. But that kind of strong unhappiness and malice couldn't escape Baixiao's super senses. After that, he seemed to have discovered something, and he began to come into contact with black magic, and his personality became gloomy and violent. Finally, he injured the library guard, snatched many books about taboo black magic, and escaped from Camartage. The Ancient One dispatched and even personally to capture Caecilius. As a result, the latter escaped. This can be regarded as the most sensational thing about Camartage in the past 2 years. However, Ancient One's performance was very mediocre, which puzzled many magicians. After all, the disciples who once had high hopes fell into the embrace of darkness. The Ancient One didn't talk much, and the other magicians thought it was Sorcerer Supreme's inner pain, so they didn't say much. Others don't know, but Bai Xiao still knows very well that originally this is a link in history. Ancient One has discovered this link long ago, and she is just following the established path like a program. The outcome was already decided, she saw through it. So Bai Xiao can also say this in front of Ancient One. He knows that Ancient One will not be angry, at most it will just be teasing. Ancient One was just as he thought, with a very calm expression. He exists only to allow strange to grow, and hardships often require a stepping stone. What a miserable person! He could have changed his destiny, just like you. However, his character is destined to go to extremes and fall into the embrace of darkness. I just hope he won't provoke me, otherwise, I may ruin your plan, Ancient One Magician. It's okay that Bai Xiao is not interested in Caecilius but the master behind him. If he does this, it will only prove stupidity, and without him, another person will appear and cannot be changed. It was very mysterious, but Bai Xiao understood it. Caecilius is just a black glove, serving Dormammu. If there is a black glove, then Dormammu can naturally change to another one, and it will not affect the established future direction. Well, the Ancient One Magician called me, not just to say this, right? Chapter 77. There is someone who wishes to meet you. See me. Bai Xiao raised his eyebrows. He could sense his own existence and could also send messages through the Ancient One. He immediately analyzed the identity of this person, the God King of Asgard. He is an extraordinary person. The power of Odin he possesses allows him to see through the nature of the universe, the deepest side. Asgard, like the Earth, is an important part of the changes in the universe. Your appearance has caused a series of chain reactions, which has also affected Asgard and disrupted many of his plans, so he hopes to meet you. 11 Ancient One explained, he is different from me. I have kept an eye on you long enough, but he has not, so, he is very worried. Is this a test for me? No, you don't need anyone to test you. No matter what happens when you meet Odin, he will not do anything detrimental to you. Ancient One said with certainty. Odin is indeed powerful. To some extent, she and Odin maintained a tacit understanding. After all, as a heavenly father of the same level, she might not be able to defeat Odin, but in the latter's current state, facing her, the two of them would most likely die together. Gu Ding died first, and the latter disappeared into thin air because his body could not bear the growing huge divine power. The Earth was originally the domain ruled by Asgard, but Thor and Asgard have been wandering around in other countries and do not come to the Earth often, which is because of the Ancient One. The Earth is the default territory of the Ancient One, but it is not claimed openly. He was also worried about Odin. There are constraints on both sides. Bai Xiao is Ancient One's most important investment project. How could she let Odin ruin her investment project? Speaking of which, Ancient One also knew that Odin's attitude towards Bai Xiao's appearance would definitely not be extreme. When Bai Xiao figured this out. In fact, there is no need to think about it in detail. When Ancient One said this, he originally agreed with it. His super senses did not feel the danger nor did he perceive Gu's malice. This means that the meeting will not be dangerous. Don't say Bai Xiao is a coward. Now he can be tougher in front of the Ancient One. It is mainly because of his 2 years of growth that he has crossed the limit of life levels and has stepped into the sub-heavenly father. Cooperating with him to create a world that is unique to him, his magic system can still compete with Ancient One, but this old man Odin is too exaggerated. This old guy is not a heavenly father in the traditional sense at all. The heritage passed down by the Odin family is too terrible. In addition, Odin has lived for at least 50 years and accumulated more than 50 years. He is a pure old monster. Although Odin is about to die, in fact, Odin is at his peak at this time. The main reason for Odin's death is that his body cannot bear the increasing amount of energy. His body strength is quite terrifying, but he has accumulated energy over at least 500,000 years. It's even more terrifying, so I can't load it. Even if he takes action with all his strength once, he will die on the spot. The entire universe knows this, but no one dares to offend Asgard. This is one of the most important reasons. No one wanted to try and touch the old Odin, it was really a matter of trying or dying. He feels that it is not a problem for Odin to just change to a god group now. After all, this old man was once a ruthless member of the 9 gods group. Although he was struck by a blaster and blessed by other factors, at least one of his arms was cut off, and his record was quite scary. Bai Xiao believes that this meeting should be an interview just like Gu. The worst result of the interview may be Odin's warning, but the best result is extraordinary. Asgard, the largest wool producer surpassing Camartage. This is not a waste of time, which makes Bai Xiao feel unhappy. Seeing Bai Xiao's calm face, Ancient One smiled, and she knew that this would definitely not scare the child. Odin fell into a deep sleep, and it will be 2 years before he wakes up again. When he wakes up, I will notify you. Okay, it's taken 2 years for you to master the magic. You don't need to come here anymore. After the explanation, an eviction order was issued on Sunday. Bai Xiao chuckled without asking and decisively teleported away. In the past 2 years, he has been harassing the Ancient One in Camartage. In addition, he has also consumed a lot of the magic weapons in Camartage. It is definitely not for his own use, but to analyze the structure of the magic tools. Otherwise, where did the weapons in his king's treasure come from? This is all due to the presence of these magical instruments. The Ancient One didn't care, but he saw a mouse in his house always stealing rice, and he couldn't stand the amount of rice. Fortunately, the eye of Agamotto was hanging around her neck, otherwise Bai Xiao would have to play with it. Return to the manor. It is still the original Swan Manor, but what is different from the original Swan Manor is that compared to 2 years ago, he personally drew 13 layers of magic wards around the Swan Manor. Concealment, defense, attack, etc. functions overlap. 0. It's similar to the holy place in New York. Because of the magic barrier, most people will ignore the holy place even if they pass by. The same goes for his Swan Manor. In addition, the second-generation Blackbird fighter jet was also slightly modified by him. Mainly since this thing had teleportation magic, it was not very useful, so it was used as a test object for many magic modification experiments. The experiment was successful, and she did not turn into a machine girl. However, many magic circuits were carved on the original shell, and even the fuel tank was modified to give it ultra-high external defense, acceleration, and other functions. It originally needed fuel, but now it has a built-in core. The core is a circular magic device. He usually only needs to transfer magic power into it, and the core will automatically store magic power as energy. After flight is started, the magic power will flow through the magic device. The circuit is transformed into a jet of energy. Moreover, the speed is far higher than before, and the invisibility effect is even more exaggerated. It is completely magical invisibility, similar to escaping into the mirror world, unable to see, let alone isolating the real world. The shape of this thing has become a bit larger, and it is an open-type flight machine. Although the overall shape is dark, it is similar to the shape of a phoenix, and is somewhat similar to the shiny golden Vimana. However, he did not add offensive weapons, and may continue to modify it in the future. This is the biggest thing he has reformed in the past 2 years. Chapter 78. Bai Xiao returned to the manor, and the beautiful maid greeted him and poured him a glass of iced juice. Obviously, Bai Xiao's habits were already known. Sir, what kind of dishes do you want to eat today? Add a Hong Kong-style roast goose, and the rest are arranged according to the day. Okay, I'll notify you right away. The maid left, and Bai Xiao walked to the balcony on the top floor of the manor house with the juice and sat on the chair on the edge of the balcony. There was a new laptop on the table. He casually looked around to see if there was any interesting news. Definitely not news from the news media, but he browsed the secrets from s.h.i.e.l.d through hacking technology. His hacking skills are getting better and better, and he asked the housekeeper to buy and build 107 in the basement of the manor to install the most advanced servers. The price is not cheap. As for money, it can only be said that the vampire families in other cities have suffered a lot in the past 2 years. The world's top hacking technology, plus the top servers, is equivalent to him being able to invade any confidential database at will. Definitely the confidential data of SHIELD was mainly from a former director. Because that idiot former director wanted to make trouble for him, he simply controlled the idiot with his mind. Therefore, there was a biggest insider. It was too easy for him to enter the s.h.i.e.l.d confidential database through the back door. The outside world seemed calm in the past 2 years, but in fact, a lot of things happened. For example, a year ago, in 2001, under the promotion of Hydra, SHIELD contracted a Far Star project to the company actually controlled by Gideon Malik for implementation. SHIELD and NASA arranged for 4 astronauts to join and teleport to the desert planet on the other side through a black stone door for a 1-year scientific research survey. Then the 4 astronauts completely lost contact, and the plan was completely stranded. In fact, except for Xiao, he knew very well what happened afterwards. In fact, there was a top predator beehive here, which destroyed this Earth-like planet alive. In the developed civilization on the planet, 3 astronauts died, leaving only 1 astronaut, Will, to survive in the desert and deal with the hive. The follow-up is related to the history of Hydra. This is definitely the plot that happened after S.H.I.E.L.D. completely disintegrated and Phil Coulson became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. In addition, 2 days after the 9.11 attack, Thaddeus Ross wrote to the U.S. military to launch the Biotechnology Power Enhancement Project, trying to replicate the research results of the Rebirth Project and mass-produce super soldiers to respond to the anti-terrorism situation in the new century. The Hulk is about to be born. Today is 2003, S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy opened in September. Leo Fitz and Gemma Simmons appeared in the Science and Technology Department of S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy. They are the youngest students in the history of the Academy. The two started the competition mode of academic tyrants. S.H.I.E.L.D. also paid great attention to these 2 talented researchers. Apart from this, there is not much news. Xiao flipped through the pages casually and then closed his laptop. He drank juice while thinking about what he had learned in the past 2 years. In fact, in his first year at Camartage, he quickly read all the 13,780 books in the entire library, recorded them in his super brain, and then started brain analysis and exploration, from the basic magic knowledge system to the advanced magic system step by step. With the help of Ancient One and senior magicians, he had already completed the curve overtaking in the first year. Except for Ancient One, he was the one with the highest knowledge and magic attainments in the entire Camartage. In the second year, he began to explore the magic system of Camartage to create his own magic system. This process is not difficult, on the contrary, it is very simple. The breakthrough from 0 to 1 is the most difficult, while the process from 1 to 2 to 3 and even to 10 is the easiest. The core element of magic is to build a program code with magic power and release magic with a specific code. The biggest reason why Ancient One envied Xiao was that Xiao solved the 2 biggest problems that magicians were born with, energy and thinking. Xiao was born with a very huge magic power and a super strong brain, which made him learn and memorize magic too quickly. He only needed to transform the process of communicating and absorbing the magic dimension, and transform it so that he could release magic through his own magic power. Not to mention that he was proficient in all the low-level and high-level magic of Camartage. In addition, he also created many moves tailored for himself. Among them, he killed the lava demon and imitated the golden treasure of the king. The biggest problem of the king's treasure is the treasure house. The golden treasure house is the original of human wisdom, that is, the things created by the new humans, realized with completely new concepts, and realized with the civilization technology of other celestial intelligent life forms. It seems very mysterious, but in fact, this is a conceptual thing. To put it bluntly, it is an arsenal. As the human era changes, new weapons will be produced in the arsenal, which can be automatically retrieved and detected, and then new weapons will be constructed. Modern human aircraft and submarines will also be in the golden treasure house. He collected all the prototypes of technology produced in his era, took them for himself, and sealed them up. Xiao is similar. He uses some space magic and barriers to build a huge dimensional magic space. This huge space is built with his huge magic power and forms a stable dimensional space. Only he can open this space. And through extremely large and complex magic circuits, weapons made of some materials, magic patterns are built on the weapons in a factory assembly line style, commonly known as enchantment. These weapons have become powerful magic tools. These weapons will be nurtured by magic power all the time in the dimensional space, and their power will gradually increase. Then he can open the dimensional space at any time and automatically build a launch form to eject it, similar to the launch process of a railgun. The maximum launch speed can reach the speed of light, and the destructive power can be imagined. And this thing does not require much magic power from Xiao. It mainly consumes a small amount of magic power to open small dimensional teleportation arrays, referred to as the human-shaped floor-washing Demon King. Chapter 79. This magic took him the most time to create. Definitely also created the original idea, the Yin Seal, which also built a dimensional space between the eyebrows that can store magic power and stabilize the mentality. Store great magic without any loss. On top of this, the max model is built. In high-intensity battles, the dimensional space between the eyebrows is instantly opened, transporting and releasing a large amount of compressed magic power, which is bundled into one body and can cause huge destructive impacts or high-speed movement that is difficult to capture with the naked eye. Increase the upper limit of strength in all aspects, 10 times or even dozens of times, and there are no side effects. As long as the physical fitness is sufficient and the body strength is sufficient to support it, it may cause muscle tears or bone damage after the battle, but originally the body has super strength self-healing ability, and healing magic. These side effects can be completely ignored. Considered by Xiao to be the Dragon Ball version of Kaio Fist. Soul magic contains coercion, similar to the Overlord's domineering force. Through the spiritual power of the soul, the vigor is released in a specific way, and is instantly released with terrifying oppression, destroying the enemy's mind in an instant, causing shock due to fear, and even causing the death of the enemy. It can even frighten opponents of the same level. It is one of the strongest auxiliary skills. One of the second soul magics, super intuitive sense. Originally possessing super senses, this ability is further enhanced through soul magic. It is similar to the haki of seeing, hearing, color, and can pre-read the opponent's breath. The range is quite large, and the limit can cover the entire earth. There is definitely predicting the future. This thing is still a passive skill. It does not have to wait until the Heavenly Father to become an active skill. Excalibur, the classic move of the Dumb King. This thing was actually completed 2 years ago by using the ancient god Sargeras, but it was completely perfected later. The compressed energy is released instantly, creating a high-intensity compressed energy light cannon. The power is related to how much the magic power is compressed. There is no upper limit to the destructive power. It purely depends on how much magic power he delivers. There is no need to have too much strange power. The basic ability he first created is also perfected later. His power can instantly superimpose 10 times or even dozens of times of destructive power. Healing magic, Xiao is not very proficient in this magic, mainly because he spent most of the year developing other abilities. But in the future, he will delve into healing magic. If he wants to become a strong man, he must first be a wet nurse. After sorting out his achievements in the past 2 years, this is also the reason why he has the confidence to challenge Ancient One in Yashinfu. In the duel with Ancient One 2 months ago, he used endless powerful skills to defeat Ancient One. Hold it in a lot. The main reason is that many of Xiao's auxiliary abilities are too abnormal, such as super intuitive sense, reading breath, pre-reading what moves Ancient One will do in the next 3 seconds, strange power in close combat, dozens of times burst max mode, land washing ability, King's Treasure. One blow the sure kill Excalibur made Gudu fall into a disadvantage. The Ancient One is a little squishy person who will die if touched and seriously injured if touched. He can only cast spells remotely from a distance during the whole process. The key point is that no matter what magic Ancient One uses, Xiao can predict it 3 seconds in advance with his intuition. In a battle of this level, if you know what moves to use in advance, the results can be imagined. Fortunately, Ancient One can detect it very quickly. He counterattacked decisively and even used Time Gem to defeat Xiao. Neither side could do anything to the other, and in the end they simply stopped fighting. Xiao muttered in his heart that an old woman was really shameless. He coveted time magic more and more in his heart. However, Ancient One took Time Gem too seriously and didn't show it at all. He probably planned to use it as the biggest bargaining chip and bet at the right time. Xiao is not in a hurry. He has too much to improve. Even if Time Gem is given to him, he will not change his path for a while. Measuring his own combat power, his original life level is at Yashin Father, but with the help of various active and passive skills, his combat power can be raised to level Godfather. Ancient One also once commented that with Xiao's current combat power level, he can beat the hell. The Great King Mephisto is not a problem. But the time may take a little longer. If it is at the opponent's home court, it will take longer to defeat the opponent. In fact, Xiao is already very satisfied. In 3 years, he has jumped from an ordinary person to a level Godfather, so what kind of bicycle does he need? Even if he doesn't make progress now, it will still be a question whether Thanos dares to come to Earth in more than 10 years. Now that 2 years have reached his expectations, Xiao also plans to take a vacation for himself during this period. The main reason is that the extraordinary creatures on the earth can no longer allow him to continue to grow. Although the number is large, it still cannot make him improve enough. There are only intruders from other dimensions, such as the previous lava demon from hell. For this reason, he has done a lot of work in camouflage. Many magicians, including the Ancient One, praised it. Bai Xiao worked too hard. The stronger the enemy, the more powerful the enemy is. The Ancient One is satisfied with the fact that Bai Xiao has not changed his original intention. He will never show mercy to enemies that invade other worlds on Earth, and will kill them whenever they see them. Tehi is in line with her ideals, but she tends to expel her most of the time. Bai Xiao is a bit cruel, but with such a cruel person on Earth 173, she will feel more at ease when she retires, and she even really wants to sorcerer. The position of Supreme was passed to Bai Xiao. If Bai Xiao is willing to become the Sorcerer Supreme, she will kindly call Bai Xiao the best Sorcerer Supreme in history. It's a pity that Bai Xiao doesn't follow this approach at all. He gets the benefits and puts aside the responsibilities. Focus on flexible movement. Ancient One was still a little worried about this, but fortunately she had an alternative strange, otherwise she would have had a headache. 2 years have compressed him too much, and his body and mind will inevitably feel a little tired. Now Bai Xiao has decided to take a good rest. Now he is almost 20 years old, and he is in the golden age of running free and unrestrained. He didn't plan to stay in the manor all the time. He considered traveling around the earth. In his previous life, he had never been abroad. In this life, he often ignored many scenery in order to become stronger. Now that we have the conditions and the time, we can make up for these things. So Bai Xiao immediately contacted Seve, the housekeeper, and asked her to buy him a luxury RV for a trip across the United States. Chapter 80. What is the meaning of travel? It is to travel thousands of miles and see scenery all over the world that you cannot see by yourself. If Bai Xiao wants, he can find a place with a beautiful environment anytime and anywhere and activate the teleportation magic, truly traveling thousands of miles in one step. It's just that Bai Xiao doesn't need to be so anxious. He prefers to drive around and see all kinds of people and things. He also likes to encounter endless accidents. Even if he may meet some people who make him feel disgusted, it is still an unexpected surprise for him. It was a happy end to my slightly tired and boring daily life. The housekeeper was very efficient and ordered a RV on the same day. Unicat Off-Road RV is a super tough guy among RVs, with ultra-high ground clearance and specially adjusted chassis. 6x6 chassis modification. The length of the carriage part is 5.6 meters, the carriage part is made of fiberglass composite sandwich panels, the floor is composed of composite materials and an integrated steel frame connected to the main chassis through a 3-point movement mounting system. The total length of this car is 8.16 meters, the wheelbase of the 6 wheels are 4 meters and 1.4 meters respectively, and the engine has a maximum power of 532 horsepower. In addition, the car is equipped with a power supply network, a refrigerator, a sofa, a folding table and chairs, a separate bathroom, a shower system, a heating system, a sink, a military first aid kit, solar panels and a military communication system connected to satellites, definitely also equipped with a 380-liter clean water tank. It focuses on luxury and extravagance, with a price of $500,000. It is a proper luxury car in this era. Definitely Bai Xiao did not modify this car, otherwise he could have completely changed the power system from physical science to magic. I drove without anyone else, and my first destination was Big Bear Mountain State Park, which is only an hour's drive from New York City. The best time to visit is in autumn, when the endless scarlet and golden colors complement each other, and the photo heartbreaking. But as soon as I left New York, a troublesome guy came to my door. On a few kilometers of highway in New York, the scenery on both sides was quite good. Bai Xiao was driving leisurely, but he saw a group of figures almost monopolizing the highway 1,000 meters ahead of the highway. At the moment there were many vehicles driving on the road, but when they encountered such a group of people, all the vehicles stopped and cursed at the people blocking the road. "Fake squid, you damn bee, get out of the way for me, you real country bumpkins, are you cosplaying, you bastards? Hurry up and make way for me, or I'll kill you all with one shot." I saw the group of people in front of me wearing crude clothes, like linen clothes in the ancient Middle Ages. Their eyeballs were dark, as if they were burnt, and their whole bodies exuded a gloomy aura. Facing the endless abuse, this group of people did nothing impressed. Just when the grumpy old man was about to draw his gun, Bai Xiao drove to a stop only a few dozen meters away, opened the door and walked out. He raised his hand gently and made a click sound. The world in front of him did not change, but it was no longer the real world. But people who were still driving on the highway in the real world continued to drive as if nothing had happened. John Shaw. The leading man was relatively young, probably around 30 years old, with a height of 1.8 meters. His eyes in the dark sockets were staring directly at Bai Xiao, who was only a few dozen meters away. Xiao. Bai Xiao read out the name very calmly, then glanced at the dozen magicians with the same look as him beside him, and shook his head. Should I admire your ability? You have seduced so many people in such a short time. Many magicians joined Dormammu. The master is unimaginably great, Xiao. You think she is the most outstanding magician in history. I think you should know how vast this world is. Our self-light should not be placed in front of our eyes. Xiao looked at the young and handsome Asian man in front of him calmly. There was just a hint of malice and jealousy in his eyes. I'm not interested in your invitation. You shouldn't disturb my self-driving trip. Get out of here now, otherwise. As he finished speaking, he saw a bright golden color suddenly appear behind Bai Xiao, with dense ripples and a golden vortex like a mirror emerging. Thousands of weapons exuding a terrifying aura slowly floated out from it, and as those weapons floating little by little, the strong dangerous aura increases by one level. Under the illumination of thousands of golden whirlpools, Bai Xiao stood like a god. He stared mercilessly at the weak magicians in front of him. The magicians behind Xiao froze, cold sweat broke out on their foreheads, and their cold expressions turned dull, just staring blankly at the scene in front of them. Xiao remained expressionless, as if he didn't care at all about the scene in front of him. In fact, he was also a little confused. In his memory, Bai Xiao was a person just like him. He was addicted to Hai Han's ocean of magical knowledge and greedily asked for all magical knowledge. However, Bai Xiao was valued more by his teacher, Ancient One, and even you can freely browse the taboo black magic that even he cannot watch. He knows that Bai Xiao is very good and has told him many times. But Xiao never thought that he would be weaker than this Asian brat, especially when he accidentally saw the truth and knew that in another dark dimension, Xiao's, there was someone stronger than the Ancient One. A more powerful god exists. He decisively betrayed Camartage, fell into the embrace of darkness, and absorbed the power of darkness, making him more powerful and terrifying than before. For the mission of his master Dormammu, Xiao found Bai Xiao, who once made him jealous, and there were some reasons for this. If he succeeds in pulling the best magician in Ancient One's mouth into the embrace of darkness, it will cause a greater blow to Ancient One. This is his revenge. If he fails, then he will kill Bai Xiao without mercy, and the same can be done. To take revenge on Ancient One, and at the same time prove to Ancient One that he is the most outstanding disciple. He thought about all the possibilities, but he never thought about the current development. What's happening here? What kind of magic did the Asian kid use? Chapter 81. Under the gorgeous magic, thousands of gorgeous golden vortexes floated with terrifying weapons, aiming at them. In this beautiful picture, they are as weak as ants. They even felt that they were locked by hundreds or thousands of weapons, and they did not dare to move because they knew that if they made any movement, those weapons would destroy them in an instant. Xiao definitely knew this too. His heart was filled with reluctance at the moment, his arms were hanging down, his hands were clenched tightly, and his fingers were even crunching from being pinched. Why did he fall into the arms of darkness? His childhood experiences and the deaths of his relatives made him extremely afraid of death. He didn't like the fragile life. He hoped that he could live forever. For this reason, he accidentally met a magician, took on the role of Camartage, and met Ancient One, was accepted as a disciple by Ancient One. For the Ancient One, from the beginning, he respected him and he believed in the Ancient One unconditionally, because the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One was the most powerful magician in history. She shoulders the responsibility of protecting the world, fighting day after day, year after year, and expelling invaders from other worlds. She has unimaginable vast knowledge. She is like a wise person who can answer all questions for him, but she can't answer his doubts. Why can't he live forever? He greedily asked for magic because he longed to live forever and live forever. However, the magic knowledge he learned and he believed that omnipotent magic could not fulfill his wish, so he set his sights on black magic. But at this time, Ancient One blocked him and did not allow him to contact black magic. Ancient One said that black magic, darkness, is an evil force that can make people get lost, sink, and lose their self-awareness. It is also powerful enough. As a disciple, as Caecilius who respected the Ancient One, he believed it. However, at one point, he unexpectedly discovered that the Sorcerer Supreme, whom he respected and admired, secretly absorbed the power of darkness. That scene completely shattered his belief in the Ancient One. Of respect. He was crazy. His most respected Sorcerer Supreme, the teacher, turned out to be just a hypocrite. So he completely became a believer in darkness, betrayed and fled Camartage, and even took away many magicians who were not firm in their minds. They absorbed the power of darkness wantonly, and he felt the power of darkness. He firmly believes that throwing himself into the embrace of darkness can make him stronger and gain eternal life. However, the scene in front of him shattered his confidence again. He has obviously absorbed so much dark power, thrown himself into the embrace of darkness, and become stronger, but why? Why is he still so weak in front of this man who is younger than him? His weak body makes him almost lose the courage to resist. Anger and unwillingness made the originally expressionless Caecilius twist. The face is twisted and ferocious, like a demon, which is scary. Okay, look at your appearance, you might as well die. This ugly face and the extreme malice made Bai Xiao feel disgusted. When faced with people he hates, he always has only one option: kill. Who in the Ancient One project has changed the direction of history so much, and there is one more Caecilius. So, gently hand. Boom. In an instant, dazzling golden flames wrapped around thousands of weapons, cut through the air like light, mixed with despair and majestic power, and blasted towards Caecilius' group of magicians. The magicians were in despair. They didn't even have time to react. Their eyes reflected the gorgeous thousands of golden meteors, a beautiful picture symbolizing death. This may be their last memory of being alive. They should be dead, but Bai Xiao's eyes flashed inexplicably. The unexpected happened. A mark of darkness appeared on Caecilius's forehead, which was originally waiting for death. A raging, rich, evil and majestic dark power suddenly broke out. The dark wave rolled in all directions instantly, and the raging dark wave collided with thousands of golden streams of light in an instant. Boom! 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 The black and gold intertwined and collided, blooming into a terrifying energy explosion. The violent turbulent explosion set off raging air waves that swept in all directions. The entire mirror world was shaken by this turbulent explosion. It seemed like it was going to break anytime and anywhere. The energy that swept through the entire mirror world caused the heaven and earth to begin to twist, and all the surrounding landforms were lifted off, and the earth shook. The cracks that extended for dozens of buses spread like a spider web around. Bai Xiao just stood there, the terrible wind and waves could not affect him, and immediately calmed down in front of him. The energy generated by this violent collision lasted for a long time. Bai Xiao gently waved his hand, and the world was frozen. Like a god, he controlled everything and dispersed the violent wind. A bottomless pit appeared in front of him, and it also spread to him. If it weren't for Bai Xiao's, the reason is that the ground beneath your feet and the ground for more than 10 kilometers will suffer. Caecilius and his group had already disappeared. Dormammu intervened. It seems that he also saw a corner of the future. Caecilius is an important chess piece for him to break through the area. It's just that it's too easy to let you run away like this. Dormammu, when we meet for the first time, we must leave you with some deep memories. Bai Xiao smiled mischievously, and a gorgeous circular golden teleportation array suddenly appeared under his feet. The golden particles in the sky were like raindrops, and his figure disappeared. At the same time, in the other half of the earth, in a dry desert, with the scorching sun and thousands of miles of yellow sand, Caecilius and other magicians followed a burst of space, rolled down in the dense dark cracks, and continued on the sand dunes. He rolled to a lower position before slowly standing up. Caecilius's face became more gloomy, and a wisp of black aura appeared on his forehead, which was a mark unique to the dark dimension. A deep, deep voice sounded in his head. "Leave here immediately, he has found you." Caecilius's expression changed, and he suddenly stretched out his hand to draw a circle in front of him, and a teleportation array suddenly appeared. Without any hesitation, he lifted his feet and submerged into it. He didn't even pay attention to the other magicians around him. Chapter 82. The teleportation magic shrank immediately the moment Caecilius submerged. The other magicians didn't know what was going on. The next second, a dazzling and bright golden beam suddenly fell from the sky. It was like a judgment from the gods, and the yellow sand exploded all over the sky. The terrifying temperature instantly burned these magicians to ashes. Completely integrated into this endless yellow sand. The high temperatures caused the sand in this area to melt and form crystals. Although Caecilius quickly closed the portal, part of the high temperature was still transmitted through the gap, roasting the left side of his body. The pain caused by high temperature burning made Caecilius's face distorted and he almost lost consciousness. Fortunately, the surging dark energy passed by and healed the half-scorched body. But half of his clothes were burned away, which made him look a little funny at the moment. Caecilius didn't care about that. After his body recovered, he turned on the teleportation magic again and again. This time, I came to a certain street in Moscow, Russia. People were coming and going, cars were coming, and at the moment the sky was gloomy, and it was raining heavily. The heavy rain hit Caecilius, who was only half-dressed, attracting the attention of many people around him, especially two people who happened to be there. The policeman with an umbrella noticed him, walked over quickly, drew his pistol, and yelled. However, they had just taken a step forward, and time and space seemed to be frozen at this moment. The heavy rain pouring from the sky just stopped in mid-air. In the distance, the tires of the streetcars passed by the puddles of water, and the splashes of water stopped in mid-air. 10 emperors were holding umbrellas, and 10 women were everywhere. The posture of shouting and avoiding was also frozen in place. The entire street stopped and fell into an eerie silence. Caecilius's pupils shrank, as if he saw the death god-like figure at the end of the street, and the gorgeous golden color was about to bloom. He opened the portal and left without hesitation. The moment he left, the frozen hour hand turned again. Everything is restored to its original appearance. No one noticed this miraculous scene. After that, Caecilius kept turning on the teleportation magic, and in just 1 minute, he traveled to every corner of the world. Finally, deep in the Antarctic Circle, the extreme low temperature and coldness turned the entire area into daylight, filled with heavy snow, deathly silence, and coldness, which are the themes of the Antarctic Circle. Caecilius crawled into an ice cave, ignoring the low temperature of -40 degrees below zero, causing his body to gradually turn purple and his muscles to die. He only maintained the basic functions of his body through a ray of dark magic. Embarrassed, very embarrassed, but Caecilius knew that he needed to survive an embarrassment. He realized how scary that man was. At the moment, a trace of fear for that man finally arose deep in his heart. That man was so powerful that he couldn't resist at all. If it weren't for the help of the great master Dormammu, who gave him more dark power, he wouldn't even be qualified to escape, and would have to end up like the magicians who had already died. He kept turning on teleportation magic and changing directions, but the other party was able to find his location accurately every time, and the moment he left, the golden light curtain symbolizing death fell. Many times, he really died. The most dangerous time was when his whole body almost melted, but Dormammu forcibly pulled him back from the edge of death. Once, he was smart and wanted to teleport into a densely populated city, but as soon as he entered the city, the teleportation magic automatically restored itself. If he hadn't reacted in time, he might have been cut in half by the teleportation array. It was also this time that Caecilius realized that the other party was teasing him. He was angry, but it was more of fear. He was really afraid of that man, and he regretted that he shouldn't have rashly intercepted Xiao. At this time, he also realized how stupid he was to be jealous of Xiao. He also knew why the Ancient One said he was the best magician. But it was already too late. Because, the footsteps of death are coming again. He hid in the ice cellar, used the lowest temperature to hide his vitality, and used dark magic to restrain his aura, but he still did not hide it. yen. Caecilius, who had his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes, and vaguely saw a tall and majestic figure standing on the sky through the ice. Behind him were thousands of golden vortexes like mirrors. The next moment, the sky was filled with gold. The stream of light bloomed like fireworks and fell to the earth. Caecilius really didn't have the strength to run away this time. He closed his eyes and waited for death to come. He was afraid of death, but when death came, he was so calm. Perhaps fatigue and haggard energy exhausted his thinking. Perhaps the cold temperature had frozen his brain activity. But just when death came, a surge of terrifying black energy covered Caecilius. As the dark energy shrank, Caecilius completely disappeared. 0, boom. 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 A terrifying explosion came from the Antarctic. The brilliant explosion blew up and melted all the ice within tens of kilometers, setting off huge waves sweeping all directions. There are many outposts established by scientific expedition teams in the Antarctic Circle. If it spread like this, what would happen to those scientific researchers? It is undoubtedly a disaster for personnel. But Xiao in the sky remained indifferent and allowed this wave to sweep away. He was suspended in the sky, staring down, feeling the dark energy. With a thought, the world changed. The wave that was supposed to cause disaster suddenly disappeared, and instead it was still the calm white earth. It turns out that at the last moment, he turned the entire area into a mirror world. The terrible disaster also existed in the mirror space world and would not affect the display world. It's hidden deep enough that even I can't search for it. Xiao's super intuition instantly covered the entire earth, and his majestic spiritual power swept through every corner of the earth, but Caecilius was nowhere to be found. Apparently, Dormammu still used Caecilius as a bridge to bring down the dark power and wool across dimensions and hide the other party. A Dark Lord who is at least level single universe. He is much better at black magic than Xiao. The other party wants to hide someone, so it is normal for Xiao to not find him. Maybe Caecilius was teleported to a place outside the earth. Chapter 83. You're lucky, but if you think about it, Dormammu might also remember me. I'm really looking forward to our next meeting. Xiao curled his mouth with a malicious expression. He estimated that Dormammu should be quite angry at the moment. After smiling, his figure disappeared again. Although it was a small episode, his journey would still continue. At the same time, in a cave in an uninhabited area of the earth, it was similar to an ancient altar, with darkness all around. A dozen mysterious patterns that were incomprehensible were carved on the surrounding walls. Caecilius was lying on the floor in the center, his chest rising and falling weakly, his breath weak, and his body skin visibly shrunk, as if he had aged for decades. He closed his eyes and heard the angry voice of the great master Dormammu in his head. Idiot, who told you to provoke that guy? I'm sorry, my great master. I originally wanted to throw him into the embrace of darkness, but I didn't expect that I misjudged his power. Caecilius said weakly without any argument. Your body cannot bear my power. For this reason, you lost 30 years of your life before you could escape. You will need to continue to use dark power to repair your body. Thank you, Master. If I fail this time, I will be more careful and wait for the opportunity to create the conditions for your arrival. Dormammu was silent for a while, and then asked with confusion, who is that human brat? Dormammu obviously noticed that Xiao was something special. He was brought back to Camartage by the Ancient One 2 years ago to learn magic. He is an oriental man named Xiao. It's a weird name. It takes only 2 years of study to reach this point. His ability is far inferior to that of the Ancient One. He will become a stumbling block for me to come to Earth in the future. He cannot live. Dormammu immediately realized that Xiao was in trouble, and the opponent's ability would affect his future plans. He couldn't let such a magician with outstanding abilities continue to live. He had reached this point in 2 years, so what if he was given 10 years? He finally almost died of Ancient One, but in the end the other party cultivated an even better magician. Then there will be another chance for him to come in the future? Doesn't the universe he covet have nothing to do with him at all? Dormammu doesn't allow this to happen. But Master. Caecilius hesitated. What he wanted to say was that he couldn't beat him, not even a little bit. The opponent was just a monster, and he couldn't resist the power he showed. This time, it was only because of the help of his master Dormammu that he barely escaped pursuit. Dormammu definitely knew this. After thinking for a while, he said, "Leave your world and find a relatively safe place. I will help you, but you need some time to accept this power. I'll also teach you some black magic." Originally, Caecilius was just a medium-sized slave, at most a slave with a slightly better ability. When he comes in the future, the other party will be completely assimilated and devoured by the dark power. Now, he feels threatened by Xiao and she needs to invest more. Understood, my master. Caecilius's eyes flashed with fire. He didn't expect that this time would be a blessing in disguise, giving him greater power and more magical knowledge. He also became more and more loyal to Dormammu in his heart. He swore that his master Dormammu must come to the world. Only darkness can give him eternal life and more powerful power. He longed for this day to come. Do whatever it takes to do this. In the dark cave, a heart full of desire is slowly burning. A cold wind blew by, making the darkness in the cave seem even more terrifying. In the main hall of Camartage, The Ancient One wore a white magician robe, looking elegant and showing the style of a gentle and wise man. He was sitting on his knees on the couch, reading the book in his hand. A young black magician hurriedly walked in. After bowing respectfully to the Ancient One, he said softly, "Your Majesty, we found traces of Caecilius's group." "Oh? Did they lose control so quickly?" Ancient One put down the book in his hand and turned to look at the young magician. After putting the book on the table, he stood up and looked at the young magician. They had no reason to show up. It was the guardian magicians of the holy place in New York who noticed the abnormal situation. Outside the city, they felt the traces left by Caecilius' magic. In addition, the young magician hesitated for a moment and looked at the Ancient One's eyes that seemed to penetrate people's hearts. He continued, "We are experiencing tremendous energy all over the world. The energy source is very high and we suspect it may belong to John Xiao." Ancient One was not surprised by this, and just said, "Ah, it seems that he still found Xiao? This is not a smart choice. I think if he is still alive now, he will regret it very much, right? Is this really the work of Mr. Xiao? The clue we found is that Caecilius opened 17 portals in 30 seconds. Was he being chased by Mr. Xiao?" The young magician could not believe that he had participated in the hunt for Caecilius and the members of the Dark Magician Order he founded. He has also personally witnessed the profound magic displayed by the opponent. Many guardian magicians are no match for him. He was almost killed by the opponent. If the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One had not rescued him in time, he would have died on the spot in the chase. Minister. To this end, he knew firsthand the power of the traitor Caecilius and the Dark Magician Order. But now, the opponent and the Dark Magician Order are being hunted down to the point where they have to open 17 portals in 30 seconds, and it's unclear whether Caecilius is dead or alive. So how strong is Bai Xiao? Although he also knew that Bai Xiao was very strong and had personally killed many enemies that invaded the earth many times, after all, he had never seen it with his own eyes and could not feel it intuitively. Now that he had a comparison, the feeling was too clear. The young magician's heart was filled with huge waves. "You seem surprised, Mordo Magician." Ancient One smiled and looked at the Mordo Magician in front of him. "I never thought he would be so outstanding." "Your evaluation is indeed correct, Venerable," Mordo Magician said, and the serious expression on his face made the Ancient One shake his head. "You are also very outstanding. You too will have extremes. You are extremely different from him. You chase the light too much, Mordo." The Ancient One knew what the character of the magician in front of him was like. He remained serious about everything, worked hard to learn magic, followed her hard, followed justice, and hated the darkness. She also understood what was going on with her. If one day she let this young magician know about it, she was afraid that he would completely lose herself. Extreme light and extreme darkness, these two personalities simply do not exist. If it exists, it will be completely distorted and crazy because of something. Such a character is terrifying. It is obvious that the young Mordo has embarked on this path. The most important thing is that Mordo does not have Bai Xiao's ability and rational thinking that are as powerful as cheating. Bai Xiao is a little younger than Mordo, but at such a young age, he is able to view the world with the most rational thinking while learning magic. Mordo couldn't do this. Therefore, Ancient One had already seen through Mordo's future path, but Ancient One only pointed out that Mordo was puzzled. She did not explain too much, but changed the topic. "Don't underestimate Caecilius, or don't underestimate the Dark Lord behind him. I believe he is not dead yet and is still dormant. And through this time, I think Dormammu will pay more attention to the special meaning of Xiao." Mordo frowned. "Do you think Dormammu, aware of Xiao's ability, might do whatever it takes to kill him?" "I think with Dormammu's thoughts, he will definitely do this." "Then we must inform him. He should be vigilant and prepared, Your Majesty," Mordo said immediately, but saw Ancient One shaking his head. He was a little confused. "Sir, Xiao's ability is Camartage's best. The outstanding one, even Caecilius is far behind. He should be the future Sorcerer Supreme, shouldering the responsibility of protecting the world. His safety is more important than all of us." "You are wrong, Mordo Magician. I believe he must know it very well. Otherwise, he would not be obsessed with hunting down Caecilius." The Ancient One laughed dumbly. "Do you really think he is willing to carry the Sorcerer Supreme on his back?" "No, he doesn't care at all." "But..." Mordo wanted to say something else, but was interrupted by Ancient One. Everything he does is just to make himself stronger. He wants to accelerate his growth by fighting powerful enemies. Modu magician, he cannot look at it with ordinary people's eyes, and he will not be stingy with it. When you take action in front of a powerful enemy, don't kidnap him with responsibility. He is younger than you, but looks at things more rationally and clearly. He is eager to fight, and his passion for fighting is engraved in his genes. The Ancient One's words made Modu stunned. He asked in disbelief, "You mean, he is declaring war on Dormammu?" "Yes, the pursuit of Caecilius this time is his declaration of war on Dormammu. Dormammu regards him as prey and wants to strangle him, but Xiao, doesn't he regard Dormammu as prey?" Ancient One saw Bai Xiao's character very clearly. Facing a powerful enemy, he will be excited, eager, and even do some seemingly irrational things. For example, this time, Ancient One also knew that Bai Xiao was rational enough. He knew that Dormammu could not do anything to him. No matter how he calculated or planned, it was impossible to kill the current Bai Xiao, and Bai Xiao hoped that he would be marked by Dormammu, because he was also marking Dormammu. When Bai Xiao grew to a certain point, will even break into the dark dimension to find Dormammu to fight. Modu didn't know this, he felt Bai Xiao was like a madman. How strong is Dormammu? The monarch from another dimension, in that dimension, he is a god, has devoured many universes, and even set his sights on this universe, treating Feng Zhou as food. Such a terrifying existence turned out to be prey in Bai Xiao's eyes. It's incredible and impossible to imagine Bai Xiao's thinking. This is genius. Pay attention to Caecilius. Maybe he will give us a different surprise when we see him. After Ancient One finished speaking, Shi Shiran sat down and continued reading the book. As the only Heavenly Father on Earth, the Sorcerer Supreme, will she be unaware of what is happening in New York and around the world? She definitely knew it all, and even knew that Dormammu used Caecilius to become a bridge, giving him more dark power to help him escape Bai Xiao's pursuit. She just watched with cold eyes. Just pretending not to know in front of Modu, she understood that even if she killed Caecilius, it would not have any impact on Dormammu. The opponent will also find a second Caecilius. The future situation is already clear in 3.0 and will not change. The Ancient One is just following this timeline and even pushing this historical trend. Dormammu, wait a minute, I really want to see you being chased by prey. I believe it will be very interesting. Mordu left, but Ancient One murmured in her heart that at that time, she had probably retired and traveled to the multi-universe. But if that day comes, she will definitely go and see her old rival in embarrassment, anger, and despair. Thinking of that scene, the Ancient One can't help but want to laugh like a pig. As for whether Bai Xiao can do this, Ancient One has no doubts. A person with super ability, learning ability, completely interrupting the source of changing the sacred timeline, this unstable factor, his growth span will reach an unimaginable level. Doesn't the speed of progress under her nose in the past 2 years confirm this? This also means that her investment will get a greater return. She is very willing to invest in the future thighs and the backers that may grow, especially Eye of Agamotto and Time Gem. This is her biggest bet in the end. Stud is an art. She knows her stuff. On the highway, Bai Xiao was still driving in his safe RV. He didn't care at all about what happened before. Dormammu hated him and wanted to kill him at all costs. He was too willing to see such a scene. Chapter 84. All of them are just food. All of them are experience. I believe that Dormammu, who is at this level, must have a lot of experience. All of them are the essence of life that nourishes his growth. Otherwise, he would not have tried so hard to hunt down Caecilius. Isn't it just to show his absolute ability and let Dormammu know that there is such a person as him? The other party has spent countless years trying to come to this world. The Ancient One has blocked her for thousands of years. It is not easy to wait for her to die. Now this me appears, so she must find a way to kill me. Dormammu is on the 1st floor, and I am already on the 10th floor. It is estimated that the more anxious Dormammu is, the stronger the people chasing him will be, and the faster Bai Xiao will grow. When the Ancient One is about to retire, he will finally come to the earth happily and prepare to feast, and then see him who is countless times stronger. I am afraid that everyone will be stupid. Bai Xiao is in a very happy mood. He can't help but whistle happily while driving. Not to mention, it's quite pleasant to listen to. His body is almost perfect, and he can play anything beautifully, including absolute pitch and voice. With a happy and cheerful mood, we drove for an hour to Big Bear Mountain State Park, a famous scenic spot in New York, USA. It is 60 kilometers north of downtown New York. The mountains are undulating and the forests are dense. There are mirror-like lakes and winding streams between the mountains. The peaks are towering in spring and summer, and the sea of clouds is leisurely in autumn and winter. There are endless scarlet and golden colors in late autumn, which is the most beautiful storm period in autumn now. There is Big Bear Mountain in the park. There are many trees in Big Bear Mountain. In addition to pine and cypress, there are also maple, rowan, walnut, black cherry, oak, poplar and other tree species. The diversity of forest species brings different metabolic cycles. In autumn, the cold wind blows suddenly, and the leaves begin to change color. Dakshung Mountain is high and attracts wind. For a moment, the grass and trees withered and the mountains were dyed. What caught Bai Xiao's eyes was the changing color spectrum and the beautiful golden autumn scenery all over the mountains. There are lakes and forests in the territory. There are many negative ions in the air, which can make people feel at ease leaning against the trees. At the moment, there are already many tourists in Dakshung Mountain Park. Many self-driving tourists come here with their families to enjoy the beautiful scenery of Dakshung Mountain Park. They even set up a barbecue machine on the river beach and started the picnic mode. Bai Xiao drove the muscle tough guy RV and slowly drove to the river beach. His tall chassis and large tires can fully adapt to any muddy road, so he can drive to the river beach without any scruples, but other tourists' cars can't. In addition to his car, there are also some other SUVs parked here. But among the SUVs, his tough guy RV is a pure behemoth, attracting the attention of many tourists. Wow, Dad, look at what a handsome car. Oh my god, she is a beauty, I really want to touch the steering wheel, so beautiful. What a handsome Asian guy. I like him, Jenny, I think I may have found my future husband. Don't be like that, Ellie, don't compete with me, I think I am more suitable for him. The men stared at this wild muscle tough guy, their eyes were shining. In the American cognition, muscles are king, whether it is human muscles or muscle cars. The bigger the size, the more it can hit their GT. This is definitely the same all over the world. The hot girls didn't care too much about this, but paid more attention to Bai Xiao who stepped out of the RV. Bai Xiao's external conditions were too perfect, with exquisite and perfect facial features and skin color, and a tall and straight body. Even if she was wearing a red leather jacket, she could be. You can also faintly see the strong chest and abdominal muscles through the white t-shirt underneath. Wearing jeans and white sneakers, with dry black hair, the overall look is clean and handsome. In the eyes of the hot girls, Bai Xiao is more eye-catching than the RV. After all, it is not just men. Women become crazier than men. The muscle car can better show another characteristic of Bai Xiao, money. To be able to drive a car like this in this era, you must be rich or expensive. Handsome and rich, standard is the first choice for standard girls. So as soon as we got off the bus, several beautiful girls with good figures came over, some wearing skirts, some wearing leather jeans. Hey, my name is Ellie. My name is Mary. My name is Jenny. Several beautiful white girls introduced themselves as soon as they came up. Bai Xiao did not refuse indifferently, but laughed heartily. John. Xiao, you can call me Xiao. Xiao, are you an Oriental? Among them, Jenny, who had long, slightly curly red hair, spoke up. She was a cheerful girl. Bai Xiao was a little surprised that the other party could recognize that he was from the East. After all, for Americans, many people are more accustomed to referring to Asians as Zairi or Xiaobangzi when they ask for the first time. Yes, I'm from the East. Wow, that's a mysterious place. Well, I remember a great leader appeared there. Jenny took over the words. It was obvious that she tried hard to think of more famous places or people in the East, but in the end she could only think of a certain great leader. Bai Xiao doesn't mind this. He knows that the future development of the East will surpass that of many countries, second only to the United States. Moreover, during this period, he doesn't care even more now. So, you guys drove here together. Bai Xiao changed the topic. Sure enough, the one named Ailey brushed her blonde hair with one hand and said, yes, we have two companions, but there seems to be something wrong with our car, and they went to solve it. As he spoke, he pointed in the distance. An old Ford car was parked there, the hood had been opened, and two boys who looked young were repairing it. Okay, it seems you are not very lucky today. Bai Xiao chatted with the three girls for a while, and then they became familiar with each other. The three girls all had good personalities. Even though Bai Xiao didn't need psychic power and intuition, after all, he had his own conditions, and he was also very proficient in verbal induction techniques. And psychology, the thoughts and personalities of these young girls cannot be hidden from him at all. They are all lusting after his body. The youthful and lively beauty, full of collagen, is really pleasing to the eye. Bai Xiao doesn't just have a shot, but at least she is in a good mood when communicating. The beautiful scenery, thighs and moon. Happily chatting while looking at the scenery. Bai Xiao also took out some juice, drinks, and beer from the refrigerator. However, these girls all chose beer to give them a chance to get drunk. It can only be said that Bai Xiao sees through it but does not tell it. High-end hunters often disguise themselves as great prey. After moving the chairs, barbecue grill, and small table, Bai Xiao contributed a lot of fresh and high-end ingredients, and chatted while beaching and drinking wine. Over there, the two unlucky companions finally repaired the car. When they turned around, they saw three girls and a handsome Asian guy sitting on chairs, having a barbecue, drinking, and chatting. Except for Mary, who had a boyfriend, the other two girls almost fell directly into the arms of the handsome Asian guy. One of the young boy's eyes turned red when he saw it. Looking at each other, Mary's boyfriend shrugged indifferently, and the other one walked over angrily. However, when they noticed Bai Xiao's clothes, temperament, and appearance, the two boys immediately felt that they were a little shorter. "Hey Marcus, Paul, is the car fixed?" At this time, Jane, who looked full of work, noticed her companion. Looking at Jenny, the brown curly-haired boy had a bitter face. "Yes, we just fixed it, is he?" "He is Xiao, John." Xiao, from the mysterious east, is a man preparing to travel across the country. "Xiao, this is Marcus, Mary's boyfriend, and he is Paul. We are both students at Pez University and are classmates." Ai Li, the blonde girl sitting on the other side of Bai Xiao, quickly introduced her. "Want something to drink?" Bai Xiao stood up calmly, shook hands with Marcus and Paul, picked up 2 cans of beer and handed them over. "Thanks." Bai Xiao's calmness and inexplicable temperament made Marcus and Paul a little short of breath. They hurriedly took the beer and sat on the empty chair next to him. After a few drinks and some exchanges, the two parties became familiar with each other. The boy named Paul was a little uncomfortable, but after chatting with Bai Xiao, he was completely conquered, and the difference in rank was too much. At Bai Xiao's level, he couldn't even call him a love sage, he had to be a heavenly one. After some exchanges, a group of boys and girls of about the same age were in full swing eating barbecue and drinking beer. Among them, some children who looked young came over smelling the fragrance and looked at Bai Xiao and the others eagerly. Jenny and others looked at each other and then looked at Bai Xiao. After all, the ingredients belonged to Bai Xiao, so they definitely couldn't make the final decision. Bai Xiao didn't mind either. He always liked cute human cubs, mainly because he wasn't a naughty child, so he generously took out the plate and divided some skewers. The steak was passed to several children. These children immediately smiled and said thank you to Bai Xiao, then turned and ran to their parents. When the adults heard what their children said, they immediately came over together, expressed their gratitude to Bai Xiao and the others, and enthusiastically presented the things they made. In the end, I felt that Bai Xiao was very pleasing to the eye. Several young girls and 2 boys Marcus Paul had very good personalities, so we decided to discuss it and get together for a team-building session. As a result, it attracted a large number of tourists, including a group of elderly couples and so on. Now on the river beach, dozens of tourists gathered around Bai Xiao's place, with a bunch of barbecue grills, simple kitchen counters, tables, etc., as well as some delicious snacks. The atmosphere became lively in an instant. Specialty dishes from various families and even localities, and the unique taste of food are extremely enjoyable. Children gather together, eat snacks, and run around the circle of adults. There was also a beautiful little girl who seemed to like Bai Xiao very much, so she huddled in his arms. The 2 girls, Jenny and Ailey, looked at her with eyes wide open and were extremely jealous. But who can argue with a beautiful little girl? In addition, a group of people also played some entertainment games, picked up musical instruments, played beautiful music, listened to the music, and danced. Even the corner of the cell was pulled up and danced by Jenny and Lee. Some old couples were exaggerated by this atmosphere and happily showed off their former skills. The lively and cheerful atmosphere and the cheerful laughter spread throughout the river beach, complementing the scenery here. This kind of dinner lasted until late at night, and attracted many new tourists. It was an unforgettable night for everyone, and they also made many new friends and made them forever. They agreed to play with each other and added contact information. There is no nastiness, no bad things, only joyful moods and friendly friendships. Bai Xiao was also immersed in this atmosphere. He forgot many things at this moment and completely relaxed his nerves that had been tense for 2 years. Finally, when everyone was tired, they packed up their things and left. And Bai Xiao also returned to the RV. Nothing strange happened at night. Marcus and Paul drove the 3 girls away. After all, they are still young and their families don't want them to spend the night outside. Everyone was still a little reluctant to leave, including Paul, the little curly boy. Everyone added their contact information and agreed to come find Bai Xiao in the future, or Bai Xiao would come and play with them. Bai Xiao did not refuse, but he also knew that their friendship would not last long. He is destined to become the most mysterious Oriental boy in the eyes of Marcus, Paul, and Jenny. The 2 sides are destined to be 2 worlds. The next morning, Bai Xiao started a new journey. At least on the first day, Bai Xiao felt the relaxation and joy that she had not seen for a long time. At the same time, Bai Xiao's whereabouts also attracted the attention of a black bald one-eyed man. In Chengdao, it is also the director's office in the headquarters building of the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau. Nick Fury received the news that Bai Xiao bought a RV and left New York. He's finally taking action again. Nick Fury looked at some photos and text records placed on the table in front of him. They were New York street cameras, the eye-catching muscle car driving footage, and a scene on the river beach. The scene of a group of tourists singing and dancing happily was obviously taken by someone from afar on the river beach. Chapter 85. Among the crowd, Bai Xiao, who was dragging 2 beautiful girls to dance, was particularly noticeable. Nick Fury's eyes twitched as he watched. So, he disappeared for 2 years, and when he came out, he went traveling in an RV. Bai Xiao, this dangerous person has always been on his radar, but starting from 2 years ago, some of the other party's behaviors made Fury a little confused. After saving a mutant girl, he went to Xavier's school and bought a manor on Long Island. So he has been lurking for almost 2 years, disappearing for a month or 2 and never going out. He only occasionally goes out twice, and goes to other cities to kill people. A group of vampires. Like a homebody huddled in the manor. Now he finally showed up again, and it turned out that the other party drove into the RV again, as if he was going on a trip, which gave Fury a headache. He didn't care at all that Bai Xiao was causing trouble. He was even happy to see Bai Xiao committing crimes as a butcher. Anyway, the people the butcher killed were either villains or non-human beings. Fury really had that set of traits that are not my race engraved into his heart. Gene. He is always suspicious of his own people, let alone people who are not even human beings. Bai Xiao fits his image of a member of the Avengers team so well that Fury simply regards him as an Avenger. As a butcher, what he wants is someone who can raise a butcher knife to kill the enemy ruthlessly. Rather than a stay-at-home guy who indulges in pleasure and stability. Fury at the moment is already wondering whether Bai Xiao has been corrupted by money and pleasure. This is normal. The temptation brought by money and pleasure, no matter how cold-blooded and rational the butcher was in the past, he is still just a kid after all. 10-year-old young man. Moreover, my family environment was so poor, so it was normal for me to be dazzled by money for a while. Fury does not want the butcher to put down his butcher knife and return to normal life, otherwise, he will not help the butcher cover up his series of actions. What a troublesome kid. Fury's one eye flickered, making sure that the boy was still the cold-blooded butcher. He could be cool and playful, but he could never give up that identity. He decided that if after this trip, the other party was still the same as in the past 2 years, then he really needed to think of some solutions. Perhaps it can throw off more crises and arouse the kindness and sense of responsibility deep in the other party's heart. He believed that the boy still maintained a sense of responsibility deep inside. As everyone knows, Nick Fury is just being sentimental and doesn't know what's going on. On Bai Xiao's side, he continued traveling by car, from New York to Pennsylvania, to Ohio, Illinois, and then to Minnesota. These states took him a total of 3 months. He basically spent about a month in one state to appreciate the environment, humanities, and food. Generally speaking, I have encountered many happy and unhappy things, more of the former than the latter, but not too big. After all, evil people can be encountered everywhere. For example, I met someone on the road to Illinois. 3 fools arrived at the roadside robbery. His muscle RV was in a remote place and was too noticeable. 3 idiots armed with purchased shotguns and pistols were about to kill Bai Xiao and steal all the belongings in the RV. It's a pity that they met a butcher who was even more ruthless than them. The lives stained in Bai Xiao's hands are not counted in terms of a few or dozens, but in terms of numbers above and above. A few pickpockets carried a few broken guns, and there was no doubt about the result. They were sent to hell by Bai Xiao. It was hell in the true sense. He used magic to open the crack leading to hell, and easily gave 3 people lives. Throw it in. As for what kind of sparks the 3 people will cause in hell in the end, it depends on how the 3 of them will die. However, there is a high probability that even the body and soul will be eaten alive by those greedy demon souls. These are just minor episodes. It didn't affect Bai Xiao's mood. The 4-month trip completely relaxed his tense spirit. In the past few months, he didn't care about getting stronger or enemies from other centuries, as if he had forgotten everything. This relaxing trip completely eliminated the negative emotions Bai Xiao had accumulated. He was enjoying this trip wholeheartedly. This day, at the moment, has come to March of 2004, spring is coming, and the RV is following the road, looking at the spring-filled green mountains and rivers on both sides, and entering the state of Minnesota. Driving all the way, we came to a small town called Fox. The scenery in Fox Town was extremely beautiful, without the noise and hustle and bustle of big cities. On the contrary, during this period, there was continuous spring rain all the time, and the colors between heaven and earth were all cold. Combined with the primitive jungles and mountains, there is a unique beauty along the way. Bai Xiao, who was sitting in the driver's seat of the RV, stepped on the accelerator and drove on a long and straight country path. There were towering teak and pine trees on both sides, neatly arranged. The rain was falling and hitting the path, but it was muddy, delighting those who love the rainy season. Driving the car, Bai Xiao's eyes flickered, and his strong intuition already sensed many unusual things in the small town ahead. Driving through this trail, I didn't drive very far when I saw a police car parked on the roadside. A middle-aged white man wearing a police uniform and a dark-colored plaid coat, grey long-sleeved lining jeans, a girl with long brown hair stood at the front of the car, with the hood open. The girl held an umbrella to shield the policeman and herself from the rain. Bai Xiao's muscle car slowly stopped on the roadside, less than a few meters away from the police. Bai Xiao opened the car door, jumped out of the driver's seat with an umbrella, walked up to the white policeman and the girl, and said to the curious and wary eyes of the other party, "Need help, officer? Yi, I think the spark plug is broken and the engine stalls. I should get it repaired later." The police officer said helplessly, then glanced at the Big Mac behind the car. His eyes immediately flashed with passion, and after noticing the license plate, he immediately said, "Are you from New York?" Chapter 86. That's right, I've passed through 3 states with that big guy, and this is the 4th one. What a great idea. My name is Charlie. I welcome you to the town of Forks. I believe you will have an unforgettable time here. She is my daughter Bella, who just moved from Phoenix to live with me for a while. Due to Bai Xiao's enthusiasm, coupled with his excellent appearance and temperament, he can easily gain trust, so Officer Charlie's attitude is also very enthusiastic. Bai Xiao also smiled and introduced himself, "John Xiao, I am from New York. My dream is to become an excellent hunter and traveler." Well, this is what he is doing, that is, the prey may be a little wider, and the travel locations may not be limited to the earth. Of course, Officer Charlie didn't know clearly, but he still said with a smile, "What a nice dream. There is a hunting ground near Fox Town. Old Merc is a friend of mine. If you need it, I can introduce it to you. There are some in his hunting ground. A lot of prey. Thank you, I will try it if I have a chance." 403 The girl named Bella seems to have a reserved character, but her facial features are very delicate and beautiful, and there seems to be something on her beautiful face. But looking at Bai Xiao, a flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. After some exchanges, Bai Xiao took the initiative and said, "I have a hitch device here. Maybe I can carry your car to the repair shop." "Thank you, May. It's just a matter of effort." After finishing speaking, Xiao returned to the RV, drove the RV to the front of the police car, then reversed to a short stop, and took out a hook device from the RV item box. The vehicle-mounted hook device is somewhat similar to the structural hook of a train and can be stable. The distance between 2 cars. Even if the car behind does not need anyone, it can still support the car and drive. This device can also extend the eyes to help pull up cars that have fallen into the ditch. This device is equipped with the RV itself, and it has everything. After all, anything can happen in the wild. As long as the money is in place, the service must also be in place. This can be regarded as one of the few advantages of capitalist society. Bai Xiao also invited 2 people to ride in the RV. Anyway, the driver's seat of the RV can accommodate 4 people. Officer Charlie sat in the passenger seat, and Bella sat in the driver's seat behind. They started talking while driving. Charlie and Bella's mother had broken up. Originally, Bella had been following her mother, but her mother and her new husband Bella needs to leave Phoenix for her honeymoon, and is taken to the small town of Forks by Charlie, the police chief. And I will also be in my junior year of high school here. Bella is 18 years old, 1.68 meters tall, with very fair skin, chocolate brown eyes, and long, straight, thick dark brown hair. This girl is very quiet, but Bai Xiao can tell that this girl is more uneasy and uncomfortable with a strange environment. Charlie briefly introduced the town of Fox, which has a total population of 3,120, and he is the chief of the police station in this town. Bai Xiao talked about some of what he saw and heard during his travels. He was very good at talking and was even more proficient in describing speech, so his descriptions were so lifelike that Charlie kept praising him. Even the quiet Bella was impressed. This kind of traveling alone attracted me to see so many cultural landscapes. Participated in many topics. We chatted all the way, and after a short drive, we entered the town of Fox. Although it is only a small town, it is very well built and modern. However, due to the geographical location, most of the houses are built except in the center of the town. Bibj, they all fit in with the jungle trees and vegetation. It feels more close to nature. Under Charlie's guidance, Bai Xiao drove the car to a repair shop in the town. The owner of the repair shop was a middle-aged white man who was very familiar with Charlie. With the help of the boss's employee, Bai Xiao, he placed the car in the garage. Inside. Then, Bai Xiao took Charlie and Bella to Director Charlie's home. Definitely on the way, in order to thank Bai Xiao, he invited Bai Xiao to come to his home and have a dinner. Bai Xiao did not refuse. Charlie's home is a single-family apartment, a standard 2-story apartment. There is a lawn in front of the house, well-established vegetation and large trees covered with moss. Although it is not said to be luxurious, it looks good. It's nice to go up there. Bai Xiao's car stopped in a slightly muddy area in front of the house. After getting out of the car, Charlie took Bella out of the car and was going to invite Bai Xiao into the house. However, considering that Bella and Charlie, father and daughter, had not seen each other for a long time, he was not in a hurry and instead shied away from Kun Town to buy supplementary living supplies. Charlie was a little surprised by Bai Xiao's understanding, but he appreciated it even more. Bai Xiao took out the motorcycle equipped with a suspension from the rear compartment of the RV. It is a black Ducati 749s. It has a cool appearance and a cool 4-stroke twin-cylinder engine with a maximum horsepower of 157 horsepower, making this motorcycle a favorite for motorcycle enthusiasts. Dream. He drove all the way to the center of the town wearing a helmet. There are a very complete range of merchandise stores, supermarkets, etc. He bought some ingredients, drinks, and fruits, and just walked out of the door. There were many people on both sides of the street looking at the black Ducati 749, but he didn't pay attention to these, but stood still and seemed to feel something. He turned his head and looked in one direction. Through the layers of buildings, a golden light flashed in his eyes. This feeling is. Someone is predicting me through some kind of ability. Bai Xiao's lips curved with great interest. This town was much more interesting than he imagined. Those 2 races were actually living peacefully in this small town with those completely non-human scents. It seemed that there was something inside. There are some interesting things that no one knows about. But for Bai Xiao, he is not very interested. These 2 groups are too weak and don't have much experience. Killing them would be a waste of his time. In addition, they are still traveling. As long as they don't provoke them, Bai Xiao will pretend that he doesn't know anything. But if he had to seek death, he wouldn't mind harvesting it. Boom! He came to the street, got on the Ducati motorcycle, put the bag away, twisted the accelerator, and with an explosive roar, he drove the motorcycle and disappeared at the end of the street. Chapter 87. And on the balcony of a modern villa on the hillside of the town, a girl wearing a white short-sleeved light jacket, a black vest lining, and short dark brown hair stood there with a dull look on her face. His eyes seemed to be looking through the jungle to a certain place in the town, looking at a certain person. A picture flashed in her mind. In the golden starlight, a figure stood high in the sky, with its back turned to the golden light and shadow. Her face could not be seen clearly, but her eyes exuded coldness and ruthlessness. The terrifying aura was like the sky falling and the earth falling, making her feel as if she was caught in a storm and might topple over at any time. After a while, the picture was suddenly interrupted by some more majestic and mysterious power. She also woke up from being addicted to that scene, her chest kept rising and falling and she panted crazily. Behind him, in the living room, a graceful, beautiful and mature woman with long, smooth golden shawl hair came over. When he saw his daughter like this, he immediately realized something. "Alice, are you okay?" She walked up to Alice, the short-haired girl, and asked with concern, one hand on her shoulder and the other on her arm. "I seem to see an incredible scene." After a long time, the girl slowly recovered. She stood up straight and looked at her mother in confusion. "What do you see?" I can't describe it. I seem to remember seeing a person, but I can't see his appearance clearly." "Nothing like this has ever happened to you." Esme frowned. As a family member, she knows Alice's ability very well. Alice has a very powerful ability to foresee things that may happen and things that are about to happen. Moreover, this ability to predict is subjective, very practical and powerful. Ability. He has avoided disaster for his family countless times. But now, Alice has obviously activated her ability again, but she cannot fully describe it, and even her prediction may be just a fragment. This made her feel a little worried. So, she covered Alice's head and hugged it gently, comforting the restless Alice. After a while, she took Alice downstairs, where all the family members happened to be gathered. Some are doing something in the kitchen, some are sitting on the sofa watching TV, and some are drinking something on a chair by the window and looking at the scenery. The two of them walked down the stairs. Esme called. "There's an accident here, Alice, we need to talk." Everyone in the family was immediately attracted by Esme's words, including Esme's husband Carlyle, who was busy in the kitchen. He put down the knife in his hand and surrounded Esme and Alice with everyone. "Except for what? You look nervous, Alice. Your ability activated again." The family members observed Alice and spoke softly. Carlyle stretched out his hand to stop everyone from asking, stood in front of Alice, gently held her in his arms, stroked her short hair, and said softly, "Are you okay, Alice?" I noticed someone coming to the town. He is scary and has the power to destroy us all. I'm scared." Alice's body trembled involuntarily when she recalled the scene she saw. It's okay, we are all by your side." Seeing this, Carlyle immediately comforted him gently. The eyes of the others were also full of worry. After a while, Alice came out of her uneasiness and broke away from her father's arms. She looked at everyone and described what she saw. It's just that the description is very vague and messy, and it can't give accurate information at all. But the more this happened, the more everyone frowned and felt uneasy. Who is that person? Alice has never been in such a situation. Maybe we find the guy. No, that's stupid, Rosalie. Then what do you think we should do? Leave Forks. The beautiful blonde girl retorted to the handsome short-haired boy, feeling a little annoyed. Carlyle stretched out his hand to stop everyone's discussion. He was the most sensible and mature person. He looked at Alice and asked softly, "Alice, do you feel that he will be dangerous to us?" "I don't know, but I didn't see us dying," Alice said confirmedly. Carlyle immediately understood that there was a big boss coming to the town. Maybe he was just passing by, but because he was too strong, he might make some noise in Forks Town in the future, but Alice activated her ability to detect it in advance. But because it was too powerful, Ellie was frightened. He pondered for a while and said, "Don't worry for now, you continue to go to school, I will observe, but I will ask you to keep a low profile as before." When the others saw Carlyle making a decision, they did not refute and nodded, but they had different thoughts and were all guessing who the person who came to Forks was. They had lived peacefully for countless years, but at this time, they felt a thrill that they had not felt for a long time. Esme looked at Carlyle with some worry in her eyes, but Carlyle smiled and shook his head gently, indicating that there would be no danger. Maybe. On by Xiao's side, he returned to Charlie's side, but happened to meet Charlie and Bella talking to two people, and there was also a Chevrolet 1953 red pickup truck. There is an old man and a young man. The old man is sitting in a wheelchair, wearing a red sweater jacket and a round hat on his head. The young man has long black hair, slightly dark skin, and is wearing a black leather jacket and jeans. The two parties seemed to have almost finished talking. The young man with long black hair was pushing the old man's wheelchair away. Charlie and Bella and their daughter watched on from the side of the street. Xiao rode his motorcycle and stopped in front of Bella and his daughter. He glanced at the old man and the young man who were walking away. He seemed to sense something. The young man looked back at Xiao and frowned slightly. I don't know what I'm thinking. Interesting. Xiao smiled softly. Bella and her daughter noticed Xiao's arrival and walked over immediately. Charlie didn't have much interest in the Ducati motorcycle, and was more interested in the ingredients, beer and fruits purchased by Xiao. Is this prepared for tonight? Definitely. Ha, it's my treat today, kid. Just beer and fruit. Haha, okay, leave it to me. Chapter 88. Charlie took the bag filled with beer and fruit and walked towards the apartment. It looks like a nice car. Is this for you? Xiao got off the motorcycle and looked at the red Chevrolet pickup truck. It was a little old and even had some paint peeling off in many places. Bella was asked by Xiao and said with a smile, yes, Charlie bought a car from his friend Billy at this time. You know I need a means of transportation to go to school. It may be a little old, but the engine is used by Jacob. The cloth has been changed. He's a handsome guy. Xiao praised, then looked at the quiet and shy Bella. Can you help me put things back in the RV? I need to put the motorcycle back on the frame. Oh definitely, I'd be happy to. Bella immediately agreed, took the 690 bag from Xiao's hand, and walked to the RV. Xiao took out the key and clicked it. The door lock of the RV automatically opened. When Bella was worried about how to get in the car, the ladder at the top automatically lowered itself. Bella then carefully stepped on the ladder, opened the door of the RV and walked in. Xiao put the motorcycle back on the frame behind the RV. Then when I returned to the RV, I saw that Bella had put the ingredients back into the refrigerator and was looking at it curiously. When Xiao came up, she immediately said with embarrassment, I'm sorry, It doesn't matter, I don't have anything that girls can't see here. Xiao didn't mind, but introduced it to the curious girl. Many functions that seemed very advanced to the girl made her involuntarily envious and admire her. Then she got out of the RV and returned to Charlie's apartment. At the moment it is almost dark, and Charlie is preparing today's dinner. Xiao originally wanted to help, but was kicked away by Charlie. Tonight was his home court. Xiao had no choice but to continue chatting with Bella. Bella seems to have a very quiet personality, but in fact she always has a curiosity about the outside world inside. This is basically a phenomenon found in ivory towers. Especially Xiao, who has a different skin color but is equally young and handsome, has been traveling across the country in an RV early. This is a great attraction for Bella. Moreover, Xiao's conversation and temperament were able to touch the girl's heart, making her curious about the boy in front of her. While chatting, Charlie quickly cooked the food. As the chief of the police, Charlie lives alone all year round. Although his cooking skills are not as good as those of a chef, they are at a normal level. Because of the arrival of his daughter and the addition of Xiao, he has cooked some of his best food. For example, Minnesota's state fish is the walleye bass. The finest freshwater fish, with few spines, delicate fish meat and no earthy smell at all. As the state fish of Minnesota, the big eye bass is the darling of sport fishing enthusiasts and a frequent visitor to every local's dining table. Assorted dishes on the iron plate, the aroma of beef at the bottom is accompanied by the taste of green beans, corn, and cheese, and finally absorbed by the potato pieces on top. Venison steak, a long-standing tradition in Minnesota culture that hunts deer, is tender, flavorful, lean, low in connective tissue, and can be used in a variety of dishes. Loaf, a traditional soft Norwegian flatbread made from potatoes, flour, butter, milk, or cream. Our Scandinavian ancestors created this tastiest carbohydrate that can be enjoyed with a variety of foods, and locals like to spread it with butter, sprinkle it with some sugar, and roll it up to eat it as a dessert. There is also the Juicy Lucy's Superman burger, wild rice black rice, local specialty canned lunch meat, and the must-have various specialty skewers. These foods did give Xiao a lot of surprises. Many of them were in line with his taste. He is a rare combination of Eastern and Western stomachs. The fragrance of the food exploded in his taste buds, making him feel happy. Xiao was very satisfied with this meal, and kept praising him while drinking beer with Charlie. This made Charlie, a mature director, very proud. Apparently he thought that he had conquered tourists from New York through his cooking skills, and perhaps for his friends, you can brag in the future. After finishing the meal, Bai Xiao left wisely and returned to the RV. After all, he was not particularly close to Charlie and his daughter. It was just because he was a tourist and he happened to help Charlie. A sense of boundaries is important no matter where they are. In addition, he also felt that Charlie was also wary of him, and he was probably afraid that he would accidentally hook up with his daughter. The RV parked in front of Charlie's apartment. He was going to rest here for a night, and he got Charlie's consent. After returning to the RV, he sat on the sofa by the window of the carriage, looking at the laptop on the table in front of him, preparing to search 10 places for sightseeing near Forks. In Charlie's apartment, Bella returned to the room that her father had packed for her long ago. Although the room was not big, it was very warm. The wooden structure of the room was well decorated, with photo album racks hanging on the walls and hanging ceilings. The work lamp on the bedside, the many photos on the wall on the dressing table. There are also some fluffy Dalmatian and cat toys on the bed. Bella put a small pot of cactus given to her by her father on the table. She immediately fell down on the soft bed. Thinking back to everything that happened today, she couldn't help laughing. After so many years, she came to the place where she had been when she was a child. She was only unfamiliar, which made her feel uneasy. There were no familiar friends. Number 4. Familiar Huanyan. But she didn't expect that the car stalled due to applause on the road. Plus she didn't like rainy days, so she wasn't in a good mood. Unexpectedly, she met a very handsome Asian boy who dared to travel around in an RV boy. He enthusiastically helped Charlie and took Charlie and her back to Foxtown. He was a very knowledgeable person and could talk to Charlie, the police chief, about many things. The experiences he described made Bella yearn for it. She also hopes that like him, she can travel around and see different worlds. The boy's appearance made her originally not so good mood much better. In addition, the Chevrolet pickup truck her father bought for her also surprised her. Chapter 89. Maybe the days to come won't be so bad. Bella stretched out her hands to grab the furry toy, lay on the bed, and buried her face in it. Not knowing what she thought of, she stood up and walked to the window. Through the window, she saw the muscle car parked in front of the house. She also happened to see the boy sitting quietly on the sofa in front of the car window under the bright light. Looking at the notebook. The light rain fell constantly, making the vision a little blurry. She could only vaguely see the side face. For some reason, that side face made Bella tremble involuntarily. She didn't know why her heart seemed to be beating faster. She didn't know why, but she just felt that at this moment, the boy revealed a mystery, which made her have the urge to explore the boy's secret. She thought and hesitated for a moment. After thinking about it, she walked to the living room, took out 18 tomatoes from the refrigerator, found the juicer and put it in to squeeze a cup of tomato juice. But then she seemed to think of something again. He knocked on his father Charlie's door with this glass of squeezed tomato juice. The door opened quickly, and he saw his daughter holding a cup filled with bright juice. Before Charlie could speak, the latter held the cup with both hands and handed it over. You seem to have drank a lot. Some tomatoes will be good for you. Thanks. Charlie was very happy. Even though he knew that he had not drunk too much, he still enjoyed his daughter's concern. After taking the cup, he raised his head and drank it all in one gulp. That boy. After drinking, he thought of Bai Xiao again. The boy he admired so much seemed to have drank a lot. The girl's heart skipped a beat and she said without changing her face, I only squeezed one cup. I'm squeezing another cup and sending it to Xiao. Okay. As expected, Charlie was in a happier mood, and he was the first priority. The girl took the cup that Charlie had finished, went to the kitchen, prepared a new cup, squeezed another cup of tomato juice, opened the door, came to the RV, and knocked on the door. In the RV, Bai Xiao was still watching American TV series. When he heard the knock on the door, he walked over and opened the door, and saw Bella on the ground holding a tomato bowl. Hey! Bella was the first to say hello, holding the cup shyly and saying, I see that you have drunk a lot of wine, so I prepared a glass of tomato juice for you, which can speed up the decomposition of alcohol and promote metabolism. Thank you, Bella. Bai Xiao took the cup and extended an invitation to Bella, want to come up and sit? May I? Definitely. No one would say no to a beautiful girl. Bella's heart skipped a beat again. Maybe it was because of her innate nature. Shyness would not make her blush. She stepped on the steps. Bai Xiao extended his hand in a very gentlemanly manner. The latter was slightly stunned, and casually grabbed Bai Xiao's hand and walked away. Go up. Are you watching Friends? As soon as she got into the RV, Bella noticed the picture on the laptop on the table. Yeah, this is a pretty good show. In fact, the only things Bai Xiao can watch are some comedies, action dramas, fantasy dramas, and crime dramas. In his eyes nowadays, there is nothing attractive. They are all about children fighting, and the special effects in this era are not outstanding. As for the suspense drama that he originally liked, he can't stand it now. Basically, after watching the early stage, Superbrain has automatically given out all the subsequent answers, unless the twist is particularly blunt, so weird that his brain cannot think of it. So the only thing I can watch is comedy, which can bring some laughter. It's really good. I also like Friends. Bella said dryly, and then looked at the tall and handsome Bai Xiao in front of her. For some reason, she blurted out, "You plan to go around the neighborhood tomorrow, can you take me with you?" Bai Xiao raised his eyebrows upon hearing this, looked at Bella, who looked slightly at a loss, and said with a smile, "If Charlie agrees. I won't start school for a few days. I think he will agree. So, I won't disturb you anymore. I'll go back first and you should go to bed early." Bella felt more and more shy because of her impulsiveness, and couldn't stay any longer. After saying something hastily, she quickly opened the car door, got out of the car, and left. Bai Xiao looked at the girl hurriedly escaping home, a smile flashed in his eyes. He was not a straight man. Although he had basically closed off his senses due to traveling, he was originally outstanding at capturing emotions. He also saw that Bella had a good impression of him. This girl's personality, figure, and appearance are more in line with his taste. If it can develop, he doesn't mind. He shook his head and was about to close the car door when he raised his brows and stepped out of the RV, when two figures that were familiar to him walked over. "Long time no see, Xiao." The husky mature voice, that charming face, wearing a red coat, holding an umbrella, and burgundy hair are none other than S.H.I.E.L.D agent Natasha Romanoff, whom I haven't seen for a long time. Next to him is a strong man wearing a black coat and a tough face. The man holding an umbrella has eyes as sharp as an eagle. "Clint Barton, he is my friend in the bureau and a comrade in arms." Seeing Bai Xiao glance at the man next to her, Natasha Romanoff took the initiative to introduce him. The three of them stood in front of the RV. Bai Xiao looked at Natasha Romanoff, "Meet by chance, or on purpose?" "We are here to ask for your help, Xiao. We have encountered some unexplainable events and need a professional to help, so," Natasha Romanoff explained. "It can be seen that you are being targeted." Bai Xiao glanced at Natasha Romanoff and Barton. He could see that there was a trace of black evil aura surrounding the two people. This aura was familiar to him and came from the devil. "If it's not a last resort, trust me, Xiao, we won't disturb your trip. I'm sorry, that town may need your help," Natasha Romanoff said helplessly. She really didn't want to bother Bai Xiao. She and Barton were performing tasks in a nearby town, but unexpectedly they encountered something incomprehensible, so she contacted the bureau for help, but she didn't expect the director to say, "Bai Xiao, he is also nearby and you can ask for help." She took out her phone, opened it, stretched it out in front of Bai Xiao, and showed him a picture. Chapter 90. This is a half-nude portrait of a very charming woman. Her appearance is unparalleled and full of dangerous temptation. She has bright red lips, a sexy figure, beautiful black curly hair, and skin as white as snowflakes and as smooth as plaster. Especially those cool grey-blue pupils, which are enough to arouse any man's impulse. This portrait appeared in the small town of Cheno, 20 kilometers away. It was excavated from the ruins of an abandoned house a month ago, and the local police subsequently found more than 70 female skeletons on the ground. All are local missing young girls. The local forensic examination did not find any useful information from the bones of these girls, but the strange thing is that the burned-out abandoned house was actually the house of a woman 70 years ago. According to the investigation, the woman had already disappeared. A subsequent fire destroyed the house. One afterwards, due to some things, no one went to that place, so it was left behind until a month ago. Natasha Romanoff explained, "The weirdest thing is this portrait, because its appearance caused 50 people to disappear in the town within a month. They were all young and beautiful. After alarming us, the director sent me and Hawkeye come to Cheno town to investigate. As a result, we encountered a strange thing 5 days ago. At night 5 days ago, we investigated the last trace of the girl's disappearance, tracked the burned house, and saw the missing girl. At that time, she was being killed by another person. The man wrapped in black gas was holding him, and our appearance alarmed him. He launched an attack on us. To be precise, he attacked Barton. We used special weapons and equipment and barely escaped. But in the past 5 days, at night, he would appear and attack us. No matter where we escape, he will find a way to find us. Bai Xiao looked at Natasha Romanoff and Barton. They seemed to have nothing on the outside. In fact, it could be seen from their faces that they were quite haggard. Barton's muscles were all tense, and his eyes glanced around from time to time. He was extremely vigilant. Apparently he was on guard against monsters that might attack at any time. Resemble. Natasha Romanoff was going to continue talking, when Bai Xiao's eyes suddenly flashed with a sharp golden light, and he suddenly turned his head to look at Charlie's apartment. To be precise, it was Bella's room on the second floor. This sudden move immediately attracted the attention of experienced Natasha Romanoff and Barton. The two men tensed their muscles and took out their weapons. However, as soon as his eyes flashed, he saw the man in front of him covered in golden light, instantly piercing the air from the ground and rushing into Bella's room in the second-floor apartment. At the moment Bella stood in front of the windowsill, as if she was watching something, but the golden color colored her eyes, and her eyes suddenly blurred. Bai Xiao actually appeared in front of her, with one hand slightly raised in front of her, Zhong Zheng catching a trace of black air that was struggling crazily. Resemble. Bella stared blankly at Bai Xiao, who was glowing with golden light in front of her. That tall figure was reflected in her eyes, striking her heart crazily. I actually tracked it here. A cold color flashed across Bai Xiao's eyes. He squeezed hard and the black airflow struggling in his hand instantly shattered and was purified under the majestic golden magic power. Xiao, what is that thing? A devil's mark. Devil's mark? Mark me. Bella was stunned. The magical side shown by the boy in front of her just now, as well as the obviously struggling black airflow in her hand, made her worldview collapse. What alarmed her even more was the mark Bai Xiao said. Why did the devil mark her? Don't worry, Bella, you'll be fine. Bai Xiao didn't explain too much. He stretched out his right hand, palm upward, and saw a golden ripple passing by, and a necklace inlaid with golden gems appeared. Bai Xiao gently hung the necklace around the girl's neck. The exquisite and beautiful necklace matches Bella's exquisite facial features, making her look like a princess. It is a magic necklace I made. It stores my magic power. Even if the devil appears in front of you, it will protect you on my behalf. The golden light dispersed, Bai Xiao stared at the girl and said softly. Bella held the necklace in her little hand, glanced at it, and then raised her head to look at the gentle boy. At the moment she didn't know what to say, and finally hesitated and said, Are you leaving? In fact, does she want to say that he is leaving her? Bai Xiao heard what it meant, shook his head and said, That demon is a little weird. His power is spreading and has affected the town of Fox. Many innocent people have been killed before you. No matter if it's for you, for them, and for the peace of this land, I need to find him and eliminate him. In fact, what Bai Xiao said was quite artistic. The most important thing was that during this contact, he felt that this demon seemed to be a boss with a history. It would be unjust to let such a boss go. In front of this beautiful girl, you will definitely not say such uneducated words. Sure enough, when he finished saying this, the girl's beautiful eyes were filled with tenderness and affection. If we say that Bai Xiao before, he was like a brave traveler who traveled thousands of miles, humorous, optimistic and cheerful, with a sense of this kind of fog makes it impossible to see clearly, and it seems so mysterious. So she was now sure that this handsome boy did have a secret that she didn't know about, but this secret was like a glass of wine with poison added to it, making her intoxicated and deep into her bones. I don't want you to go, it might be dangerous. The girl took a step forward, plucked up the courage, stretched out her arms and hugged Bai Xiao, resting her forehead on Bai Xiao's chin, feeling the warmth of the embrace. What else could Bai Xiao do? He stretched out his arms and hugged Bella's slender waist, lowered his head slightly, and whispered softly in Bella's ear, This is my responsibility. No matter in danger, I will keep going. Believe me, Bella, it's for you, even if it is a powerful demon, I will kill him. These slanderous words made the girl even more unable to control herself, and she couldn't help but shed tears in her bright eyes. I believe in you, do what you should do, and don't forget that we still have an agreement. Chapter 91. Bella stood in front of the window, silently looking at the man who had returned to the street, flashing tears, holding the necklace hanging around his neck with both hands. She knew that this was the greatest gift he had given her. When he is away, the necklace will protect her for him. I don't know why, even if she is alone, holding the necklace, a warmth seems to be conveyed in it, dispelling her fear, just like that boy. Be by your side. Xiao turned around and glanced at the girl standing in front of the windowsill on the street. They looked at each other for a moment, as if they had looked at each other for an eternity. He resolutely turned his head to look at Natasha Romanoff and Barton. What else could he say? Originally, the girl had a crush on him, but now she accidentally got into a bloody drama of a hero saving a beauty, and by the way, he introduced a thing like a devil, and with his slanderous words, he immediately it allows girls to imagine the story of a silent hero traveling around the world, looking for demons, and protecting the world. This series is not just full of elements, the waves are all real injuries. A girl in the ivory tower can't bear this, and her heart will be won in minutes. To be honest, it's impossible to say that Xiao doesn't care about Bella. He just planned to stay in Forks for a while and read the follow-up strategies. However, a demonic incident occurred and the strategy was completed on the same day. Xiao decided to thank the devil for letting him turn into life essence and merge with himself. That guy has his eye on that girl. Natasha Romanoff watched from beginning to end and glanced at the boy in front of her with great interest. If she couldn't tell something about her rank, then she, an ace spy, would be in vain. You've just... Barton on the side was even more curious about the ability Xiao had shown before. At that moment, even his super reaction nerves and dynamic vision were unable to respond. Even the tightly closed second-story window did not break and did not alert Bella. As an old father, one can imagine that this is no longer something ordinary people can do. Even mutants are rarely this strong. Xiao ignored the words of the two people. He raised his head and looked at the sky. His pupils like black gems were rendered in gold. It was raining continuously. Under the dark clouds in the sky, from his perspective, he saw a kind of black color that ordinary people could not see. The gas is spreading rapidly. He could feel that the demon's hidden ability was very strong. He didn't even notice anything unusual until Natasha Romanoff and Barton came to them. Even though he has closed most of his senses, he still has passive ability. Once he senses the presence of demons or invaders from other worlds, he will still be immediately aware of it. To be able to conceal his current perception, this devil must not be a simple character. Now it's more like a mockery. Without marking Bella, make some noise to attract his attention and see if Xiao can find the other party. Want to play a game of cat and mouse with me? It's just, who is the mouse and who is the cat? Boom. A cool black Ducati motorcycle engine roared under the moonlight and in the rain, speeding along a long and muddy road, like a running wolf in the dark world. Mud and rain splashed. Xiao was wearing a black jacket, t-shirt and jeans, riding a motorcycle, with her black hair dancing in the strong wind. In the distance behind him, a black Chevrolet SUV was following with all its might, but the distance was getting further and further away. Shit, that damn thing must be going over 300 an hour. Barton slammed the steering wheel while driving in the driver's seat. He was obviously not satisfied with the speed of the car. He had already reached the maximum speed of 200 yards, and he was still sprinting in a straight line. Once he turned a corner, his speed had to slow down. The motorcycle in front was sprinting at top speed. There is no doubt that this is extremely dangerous, especially on such a muddy road. If you are not careful, it will overturn and the car will be destroyed. Barton also knew that it was easy for the boy to control this kind of speed and motorcycle. But he is still an ordinary person. No matter how good his driving skills are, he is still a human being after all. We are following him. That thing should be spreading very quickly. Xiao said that the origin of that thing is not simple. Understand it. I will track it all the way. In the co-pilot, fasten your seat belt. Natasha Romanoff hung up the communication and turned to look at the somewhat annoyed Barton. The director will send our people to blockade the area villages around the town of Cheno. We should be the only ones actually involved. We need equipment support. The previous equipment was basically all damaged due to fighting against that guy. Bullets and ordinary arrows have no effect on that thing. Barton drove the car and shouted, maybe the director should prepare a large amount of holy water and let the fighter planes spray it from the sky to cover all directions. He is a top agent, but he has always dealt with flesh and blood. Now he and Natasha Romanoff are facing who knows what kind of weird thing. If they hadn't noticed something weird before, Natasha Romanoff and him would have solved it. If he bought some special equipment, he would probably have been killed by that thing a long time ago. I believe more of it will be diluted by the rain. Our equipment has been placed outside the town of Cheno, and the other party's equipment is not ours but Xiao's. Yeah, this world is so magical. Now I believe that damn guy is definitely not a mutant. Maybe it is related to some weird things. The director should recruit some priests to work. When Barton faced Natasha Romanoff, he couldn't help but think to himself. He didn't have the coolness and competence of a top agent at all. Maybe it's a good idea. Mention it to the director later. Maybe he will agree. Natasha Romanoff responded casually and looked at the positioning mark on the mobile phone screen. On the positioning screen, there was only the Chevrolet under the seat, and the front belonged to Bai Xiao. The positioning mark has spread a long distance. A flash of thought flashed through her. Based on the power Bai Xiao showed just now, if the other party wanted to block the shooting of military satellites, it shouldn't be too difficult, but he didn't do so. He doesn't believe that the other party didn't notice. Maybe it's because he doesn't care. Is it because of his confidence in himself? It seems that Xiao hides too many secrets that she doesn't know about. There was a hunch in the dark that this mission should be able to initially see Xiao Zhen's side, and it would also allow her to see another side of the world. Chapter 92. On a dark night, the light rain turned into heavy rain as it arrived in the small town of Cheno. Heavy rain is raging in this small town. It is slightly different from Foxtown in that Chunalt town is larger and has more modern facilities. However, at the moment in the evening, the streets of the town are deserted. If there were still some lights in the houses and buildings on both sides of the street, uninformed people might think it was an empty town. Boom! The roar and explosion of the engine exploded in the street, like a black light traveling through the street. This huge movement attracted the attention of the residents of the town. They sneaked to the windowsill and watched the black shadow cross the street in an instant. Bai Xiao rode a motorcycle all the way, the hem of his clothes rustling in the wind, and the heavy rain fell, but was blocked by an invisible airflow and bounced away. The high-wattage headlights were placed in front of us to illuminate the road, and we finally drove all the way to an area at the far edge of the southwest of the town. When you get here, you will pass by a forest on the way. There is a muddy path in the forest that can barely accommodate a car. The long road is somewhat winding. The forests on both sides have strange shapes. In the dark, it seems a little twisted. The twisted jungle matches at night, it looks extremely strange and gloomy. The trees passed behind each other quickly, and the motorcycle drove for a full 10 minutes before reaching its destination. After driving out of this twisted forest, there is an open area in front of us. The open area is very large and surrounded by forests. However, the large and curved trees growing on the edge of the overgrown weeds make it look more like the trees are gradually devouring the text. The open space remains the same every day. Boom! The locomotive stopped in front of the ruined house in the open space. Bai Xiao sat on the locomotive with one foot on the ground. He sat upright and scanned the ruins with his sharp eyes, then raised his head and looked at the sky. The pupils were gradually filled with gold. The perspective has changed, as if it has become a three-dimensional image, and information that is so dense that ordinary people cannot detect it gradually pours into the brain. In front of my eyes, the scene kept changing. The original ruins turned back into an ancient house, garden, and lawn. A sinister old man lived alone, and a portrait of a half-naked woman hung in the living room. As the slides kept flashing, the first girl was attracted here in a daze and saw the portrait of a half-naked woman. Then the man enveloped in black energy hugged the girl and seduced her to the bed. In the dream, the girl was possessed, and her soul was taken away by the man in the joy. The old man buried the dead girl in the ground like a slave. This process continued for decades. Until the old man was burnt down due to an accidental fire, the house was burnt down, the old man died, and the corpses and the portrait of the woman entered the ground one by one. Until a month ago, a few children from the small town boldly broke into this place, played here, and found the corpse. After being frightened and hurriedly running away, the people from the police station completely dug it out together with the oil painting. When the oil painting was taken away by the police, a police officer held the portrait of the woman on the oil painting and smiled strangely at Bai Xiao. To be able to interfere to such an extent, it turns out that this devil has a lot of background. Ordinary people might be frightened when faced with such a situation, but instead of being frightened, Bai Xiao decided that this demon was definitely not a simple character. If he wanted to, he now had the ability to retrace the regional timeline and trace the past. However, the other party was able to detect him when he traced back to the past, and left behind a provocative picture. This is not something ordinary characters can do. It must be some powerful demon with a name. Encountering such a demon, Bai Xiao became more and more excited. The big demon was so delicious. What he saw was a big demon, it was obviously 10 large groups of life essence. He's not bragging. With his current strength, he won't suffer any loss if he encounters a certain lord-level demon in hell. Unless it's an ordinary demon lord like Mephisto or Lucifer, he's not weak at all. If it were on the earth, even if the true body came to the earth, the strength would have to be suppressed, and it would be an offensive and defensive type. There is also an Ancient One. The Ancient One has no sense of chivalry and will definitely join forces with him to destroy it. A lord-level demon equals a massive amount of experience. However, this possibility is unlikely. The lord-level demons are not fools. They have the Ancient One, the huge protective barrier of 3 magician holy places, the earth, and the contract set by the ancient gods, with layer upon layer of negative buff blessings. Next, food will be delivered to everyone who comes. The reputation of the Ancient One is not low, at least in hell. Because of Mephisto, the demons have a strong conscience and do not want to follow the path of the great Mephisto. Therefore, the portrait of the half-naked woman is a bridge. Open the bridge, sneak across the earth, seduce those pure girls, possess and take away the soul. In essence, it is also a kind of hunting. Demons have different personalities and will naturally have hobbies. The souls of pure girls are very popular among demons. The reason why this demon has a great background is because it is very hidden. At least it has been hidden from the Ancient One. Even Bai Xiao, who was at a close distance, did not notice it. If Natasha Romanoff and Barton suddenly asked for help and targeted Bella, Bai Xiao would probably won't find it yet. Play hide and seek, but don't let me find you, or I will kill you to hell. Bai Xiao felt indifferent in his heart. He knew exactly what would happen to the girls who were killed for decades, not to mention that the other party was also targeting Bella. He turned the accelerator, and the motorcycle suddenly slid in an arc on the ground and left the area along the twisted forest road. As soon as they left the twisted forest, they met Natasha Romanoff and Barton, who were following closely. The 2 cars passed each other in an instant, and the Chevrolet SUV behind them suddenly drifted to the brakes. Barton in the driver's seat quickly operated and shouted, "He looks very angry. I think he should have found the other party's trace." At the moment, Natasha Romanoff had already received equipment from the bureau for her and Barton, and her clothes had also been changed into special combat uniforms. "We look like the sidekicks next to the main characters in TV dramas," Barton complained. "The world has changed to the point where you and I can no longer see Clint clearly. I miss being on missions with a bow and arrow." As soon as the steering wheel was turned, the car turned and the tires spun wildly, chasing the motorcycle. In front of the police station in Cheno Town, a cool black Ducati motorcycle suddenly braked and stopped during high-speed movement. Bai Xiao set up the support pole, got off the motorcycle, and walked inside the police station. The police officers inside the police station seemed to have not seen Bai Xiao's intrusion and were minding their own business. Bai Xiao walked along the corridor of the police station towards the storage room. As he entered, the lights above the corridor suddenly flickered, darkness and brightness intertwined, and the atmosphere became a little strange for a moment. It seems to be expressing welcome to the arriving guests. As he entered, Barton and Natasha Romanoff arrived outside the police station. They immediately got out of the car and entered the police station. They were spotted by the police and they took out their FBI ID cards. It seemed that the police had already been informed of the incident, and they were allowed to enter the police station without verifying their FBI identities. "Where is your storage room?" "And the second floor is at the back." Natasha Romanoff was very smart. She ignored Bai Xiao's question and asked directly about the storage room. She guessed what Bai Xiao was looking for. After getting the answer, he hurried to the storage room on the second floor with Barton. At the moment, Bai Xiao had already arrived at the door of the storage room. He stretched out his hand to open the door in front of him. There were some sundries or lost things stored in the storage room. Generally speaking, there would not be special police guards here, and a heavily guarded gun magazine is completely different. There were rows of shelves in the storage room. He followed the shelves and found a portrait of a half-naked woman hanging on the wall. Facing Bai Xiao's gaze, the portrait of a woman that was supposed to be solid suddenly showed the same weird smile as when he was looking back on the past. It's beautiful, charming, dark, and thrilling. Interesting human being, you contain a power that disgusts me. She might like you very much. The golden pupils of Bai Xiao's eyes were like the bright sun staring at the picture. He was silent and did not speak. In his ears, there were rapid footsteps from the other side. At the moment, the space seemed to have been slowed down dozens of times. Every footsteps is like the hand of time turning once. The woman in the picture is unrestricted, wearing that weird smile, and jokingly said, "You are very angry, why? When you reach a point like this, why would you be angry? Is it because of those pure girls who are possessed by me? Or is it because of that girl named Bella? She is beautiful and her soul is very pure, isn't she? Ah, she is like fresh and delicious food. She is the most special person I have seen in so many years. Let's play a game." But before he finished speaking, Bai Xiao suddenly spoke, his golden pupils exuding coldness and murderous intent, "I'm here for you." Boom! As the words fell, a golden magic circle suddenly lit up on the ground under Bai Xiao's feet, and with a little starlight, his figure disappeared. At the same time, the strange smile on the portrait of the half-naked woman in front of him turned into shock. As if he realized something, the picture returned to its original appearance. Bang! The door was pushed open again, and Barton and Natasha Romanoff hurried in. The two of them scanned the surroundings with their weapons raised vigilantly, and finally came to the picture of the woman, their expressions full of doubts. Where are the people? In the spacious training ground of Camartage, under the moonlight, the Ancient One, wearing a white magician robe, was supervising the training of the magicians. She suddenly felt something and turned her head to look in another direction, her eyes full of surprise. "Oh, resemble! Why did you suddenly break into hell?" Ancient One never expected that Bai Xiao, who was relatively peaceful, would suddenly go to hell on this day. She once thought that Bai Xiao would definitely go to hell one day. There were too many powerful demon lords in hell, and people like Bai Xiao who had combat genes activated in their bones would not let them go. It's just that she always thought that this point would come very late. Bai Xiao was obsessed with fighting and also had rationality. Before he reached the Father, he would not be in such a hurry to go to hell. But now, could it be that there was an accident? Ancient One frowned, a slightly invisible smoothness appeared in her eyes, and her perspective had changed from the earth to another dimension. Hell is a mysterious place that everyone in the world is afraid of, where all the terrifying things that humans believe exist. Human beings believe that hell is the source of all evil. The facts are indeed not much different. Hell is essentially another dimensional world. The area of hell is very huge, so huge that it is even said that there is no end in sight. The place is filled with burning flames, and the scorching high temperature makes the air of hell distort and blur. Sky, a piece of blood, here, reflects many cities in the human world. But compared to human cities, there are only ruins of cities, high-rise buildings collapsed, half buried in the ground, scrapped cars, collapsed buildings, endless madness. The wind stirs the dust. The harsh environment makes it impossible for humans to survive here. In the dark corners, there are hidden demons and souls, looking around with greedy eyes, waiting for prey. Today, it is in the kingdom of a demon lord. But a human appeared who shouldn't have appeared. On the balcony of the luxurious castle palace, a man with a humanoid appearance, a pair of red devil wings, and fiery red skin was looking up at the sky in astonishment. Under the bloody sky above the palace, a black-haired human boy wearing a black coat, a white t-shirt and jeans was standing, looking down and looking at him. The golden pupils exuded cold and piercing murderous intent. The terrifying aura is spreading from his body, shaking the surrounding world. Outside the palace, all the demon undead within hundreds of kilometers are fleeing out of fear. Are you crazy? You broke into my kingdom just for a human woman. He didn't know what to say at all. What about the game that was agreed upon? Should we talk about the rules of the game? Why did the human being just flip the table and go to hell? Bai Xiao looked down at the demon lord in front of him, his mouth curved. Chapter 93. He was the best at flipping tables. He realized that the boss was too cautious and was not on Earth at all. He wanted to play a cat and mouse game, but he didn't have the time to spare. After tracing the source of the aura, kill directly in front of the opponent. Like to hide? I'll kill you at your house to see how you hide. Moreover, this demon lord did not bring much pressure to Bai Xiao, so he defeated this boss. Even if he couldn't win in his territory, Bai Xiao wanted to run away, but the other party couldn't stop him. Another source of confidence is Ancient One. Ancient One is an absolute master of keeping things safe. If the other party invests so much in itself, it will definitely not let the investment go to waste. An accident happened, and Bai Xiao owed Ancient one more debt. They all owe favors anyway, and they won't be itchy if they have too many lice. As long as they can get rid of this devil, even if they owe one more favor, Bai Xiao will definitely make a profit. It's crazy. The demon lord didn't know what Bai Xiao was thinking. He just felt that this human being was really a bit grumpy. But after all, in his own world, he calmed down a little and was about to speak, but Bai Xiao didn't give in at all. Any chance of bullshit? Wang. The next moment, as the portal to the dimensional world was opened, thousands of golden vortices with invisible ripples like mirrors emerged, stacking up behind him like a huge amount of golden wall. Dazzling golden light shines in this world. The terrifying energy aura turbulence swept across all directions. The whole world is trembling, and twisted. 800. The demon's eyes suddenly widened, and he roared subconsciously, completely showing his true form as the demon's body. He is in the form of the demon's body. He is a huge monster with a human body, a snake's tail, and chicken feet. He has 3 huge bodies, namely a human head, a sheep's head, and an ox's head. He also holds a slightly exaggerated shape in his hand, and a huge one in the other hand. Amounts of bloody flag. Over there, weapons emerged from thousands of golden whirlpools, as Bai Xiao waved his hand gently. Boom! Weapons all over the sky are surrounded by golden magic particles, like golden meteors falling from the sky. The speed at this moment has reached the speed of light. Just looking at it makes your scalp numb. Even this demon can feel the huge amounts of sense of danger. Roaring and waving the sword in his hand, the majestic black and purple magic was released, and the powerful black magic turned into layers of huge black and purple magic shields above the palace. 13 layers were stacked in total. Each layer was larger and covered a wider area. In an instant, thousands of streams of light rained down like a rainstorm, bombarding the layers of huge magic shields. Unfortunately, in the face of tens of thousands of light-speed attacks, these magic shields could not withstand them at all, and they completely shattered without even being able to withstand them for a second. Looking at the terrifying sense of oppression, the demon below only felt like cursing, without any hesitation, and his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. Ever since, endless meteors bloomed and fell smoothly onto the land of huge amounts of luxurious castles and palaces. Boom! 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 There were violent explosions, and thousands of golden mushroom clouds suddenly appeared. The earth shook crazily, and raging energy swept in all directions. The earth rolled outwards from the center of the palace like a plow, and the torrent of air swallowed everything in its path. Everything there was completely devoured. It even spread dozens or hundreds of kilometers away, and those demons and undead that had been affected before they had time to escape were dying in despair and screams. After a long time, everything gradually calmed down. The strong wind blew, and the dust and smoke dispersed, revealing the bleak scene below. An area of tens of kilometers was sunken, with pits as large as file size and as small as the surface of the moon. As for the devil's luxurious castle and palace, it became history. There is only ruins. Bai Xiao didn't even look down. He focused his gaze on the front. In the air in front of him, there was a demon with 3 heads standing, only about 3,000 meters apart. Are you Asmodeus? You idiot, you will definitely suffer the cruelest punishment for your actions. I will let you be imprisoned in the cage of hell forever and repent in pain. The expressions on the 3 heads of Asmodeus were gloomy, and their voices were low and hoarse, echoing throughout the world. Bai Xiao didn't pay attention to this, his clothes rustled in the air, and he stared at the famous demon king Asmodeus in front of him. He was able to recognize Asmod, mainly because there was a book in Kamartaj that specifically recorded information about some powerful demon kings in the hell dimension, including Asmod. Asmodeus is recorded in books as the demon king who represents lust. He is also a very famous character in hell. According to records in books, Asmodeus likes the most exclusive human woman. He is not taboo about this. If a couple is about to get married, he will kill all the fiancés of that woman. And Asmodeus also likes women with pure hearts, or in other words, all demons like this kind of women, because such women with pure hearts also have the purest souls. On Angel's side, everyone will be selected to become the body where Angel comes. He once wreaked havoc on the earth. In a war between hell and heaven, he fought against the great angel Raphael and fell into a disadvantage. Finally, he was captured by the great angel Gabriel. As for how to escape back to hell, it was probably an exchange of interests and a big price was paid. In addition, Asmodeus also has a very famous wife, the demon Lilith, the incarnation of natural disasters and storms. Lilith is the demon representing lust, does not age, has long black hair and the tail of a big snake. No male who sees her is not fascinated, and Lilith absorbs men's yang energy to become immortal. She is the devil who rules the night and Friday. And there is a special description of Lilith in the book. It is said that she came from ancient times, exuding the vitality of youth, with a garland of roses and poppies hanging around her beautiful neck. She always comes to the world at night, weaving a web of love with her soft eyes, making every man bewildered and unable to extricate himself. I think of the portrait of a half-naked woman I saw in the police storage room, and Asmodeus once said that she would like Bai Xiao. Basically, this is what Lilith was talking about. Bai Xiao still has a lot of interest in this famous demon of lust. Don't get me wrong, Bai Xiao wants to see if the legendary demon is as beautiful as described. Men are like this. The famous Xiao has a succubus friend. It can be imagined that humans only care about beauty. As for races, they are all treated equally. What about demons? What about beast girls, catwomen, and ship girls? Thinking differently, Bai Xiao got rid of those unreliable thoughts. He glanced around, and the majestic super perception could feel that when he launched the attack on Asmod, pairs of eyes from all directions were already on him, showing surprise, doubt, malice, and murderous intent. Greed conveys various messages. Obviously, his arrival attracted the attention of other demon lords in hell. He definitely also felt a familiar look among them, the Ancient One. A magician of the Ancient One's level is definitely watching silently. Looks like I'm going to be famous. Although he was being watched by those demon lords, Bai Xiao was not only not worried deep down in his heart, but also became more and more excited. There was too much, it was too much. Just a rough perception, the number of these demon lords is at least more than 10. Hell is indeed one of the largest dungeons. When he defeats this dungeon, he will completely establish a level above Heavenly Father. As for whether these demon lords will besiege, Bai Xiao didn't care at all. Hell is the real dark forest. There is only one law here, the law of the jungle is the most cruel. The death of a demon lord means that the resources and chassis belonging to the demon lord will be vacated. If those demon lords smell that another demon lord is weak, they will twitch his muscles and bones without hesitation like a group of hyenas, and swarm up to gnaw them clean. Similarly, the strength gap between the demon lords is not very big, so they will not easily start a war. Once the war begins, both sides will inevitably suffer losses. If they show weakness, the result will undoubtedly be that they will be defeated by other demon lords. Take advantage of the opportunity. The battle between Bai Xiao and Asmod is also based on the same principle. The demon lords don't care whether Bai Xiao is a demon or a human. They only focus on this battle. No matter who dies or lives, when the war is over, those demon lords will show up and tear him and Asmodeus apart without hesitation, even their souls. The kind that is divided up. It is indeed a good idea to sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight, but unfortunately, they have no idea what the outcome will be if Bai Xiao and Asmodeus are allowed to fight. This is also the reason why Bai Xiao confidently breaks into hell and kills Asmodeus. Bai Xiao could perceive that the group of demon lords were watching quietly. Asmodeus, as a demon lord, could also perceive that the face of the human head was full of gloom and ugly, a mouth full of flames spurted out from his mouth, and the 3 pairs of eyes were strange. Staring at the madman in front of him. Do you know what you did? You don't understand the rules of hell at all, so you dare to rush in here rashly. Look around you. I believe you also feel those eyes. You know what the result will be. Now, get out of my territory. Asmodeus roared angrily. No matter what, this time he was humiliated. He was killed by a human on his own territory, and he also watched the other person destroy his castle and palace. This was a huge blow to his demon lord. Identity was a huge hit. The devil really doesn't care much about face. If you can get huge benefits, face is nothing. But the problem is that this time, there is no profit at all, and he is still humiliating you in front of other demon lords. It would be strange if he was not angry. At the moment, if he could, he would like to tear Bai Xiao to pieces. But the strength Bai Xiao showed made him afraid. So he can only take advantage of it verbally. Asmodeus believes that as long as the other party's brain is normal enough, it is impossible to continue to fight with him at this juncture. At most, he can just talk to him. He is too familiar with this process. Isn't this what heaven begins like? However, what Asmodeus didn't expect at all was Bai Xiao's mind is completely different from that of ordinary people, or Bai Xiao's perspective is completely different from other people's. Facing the angry Asmodeus, his handsome face was expressionless and he said softly, "You have killed too many innocent women, and you should not set your sights on her. You have to pay for what you did." After saying that, a ferocious and majestic aura swept across the world like a storm, like the will of the ancient gods resurrected. The mighty aura shook the world, and they saw that the weapon inserted upside down on the ground below had long since disappeared. In the golden whirlpools behind him, the weapons that made Asmodeus become distraught appeared again. 5.0 You crazy person! Asmodeus roared in disbelief, and black and purple energy surged out in an instant, turning into a long river and hanging upside down in the sky. At the moment, besides being angry, he was afraid, he was really afraid. He had no idea that the other party was so crazy. He was just doing it for a group of weak humans. After marrying a woman, he broke into hell alone and fought in front of him. Not only that, but under such circumstances, even though he knew that starting a war would only allow people to take advantage of him and lead to his death, he was still determined to kill him. What kind of blood feud could reach this point? You must know that at their level, there is no so-called hatred at all. Hatred is just an episode in their long years. Only interests and resources are eternal. Constant. Even if you hate someone, you will bury this hatred secretly in your heart, just waiting for the right opportunity to take revenge one day. This kind of mindless, stupid-like behavior is completely inconsistent with the rules he is familiar with. Bai Xiao didn't bother to talk nonsense at all. This information gap made his behavior contradictory to others and seemed strange. Only he knew why he did what he did. Boom! Endless bright brilliance bloomed, and tens of thousands of beams of light poured out towards Asmodeus. How angry the latter was, how regretful he should not have provoked this madman, but he could only helpless. The raging black frenzy and the bright golden brilliance collided together at this moment. Chapter 94. The sky is full of black, purple, and gold intertwined, like the grandest fireworks blooming, making the blood-colored sky become radiant and colorful. Bang! The air exploded. At this moment, Bai Xiao cut through the air and pointed directly at Asmodeus. The latter was a little shocked and looked at the human kid who crashed through the two energies and created violent turbulence in the space and rushed towards him. That kind of speed made him return. Some can't react. In a confrontation of this level, a daze or a flaw would often result in a beating. Asmodeus also realized this, but unfortunately it was too late. The distance of just a few thousand meters, for a life of Bai Xiao's level, was fleeting. The white sneakers looked a bit dazzling under the golden light. Asmodeus could only see a golden shadow in the corner of his eyes, and then he felt severe pain and unparalleled power coming from the side of his face. Speed is power, and this is not unfounded. While the original possesses super strength, with the addition of the extreme burst of speed, the power exerted is completely increased exponentially. Asmodeus, a lord-level demon, has an astonishingly strong structure as the demon's body. However, he was almost seriously injured by Bai Xiao's kick. The latter's head was dizzy from the kick. The whole body fell to the ground like a meteor. Boom! The body hit the ground heavily, blasting up dust all over the sky, sinking within several thousand meters in diameter. Dense cracks spread like spider webs, and majestic air waves swept around. Asmodeus fell to the ground, but his body bounced up from the ground. At the moment, Bai Xiao fell from the sky, bent his knees and hit Asmodeus's chest hard. Boom! The roar of the explosion was like thunder, and the air wave erupted in a much larger scale than at the beginning. Asmodeus was hit by Bai Xiao's knee and was smashed into the depths of the ground. Asmodeus continued to fall. It was obvious that Asmodeus was affected by these two. The heavy blow was a bit confusing, and Bai Xiao didn't miss this opportunity at all. He raised his fists and attacked Asmodeus like raindrops. Each punch was mixed with surging magic power. It could be said that the punch hit the flesh. Most of Asmodeus's body collapsed, and his flesh and blood flew everywhere. The severe pain finally made Asmodeus react, roaring and waving his fists to fight back. One of the three heads aimed at Bai Xiao and opened his mouth to spray hellfire, but Bai Xiao reacted too quickly and could predict the next 3 seconds of his intuitive passive ability, allowing him to block Asmodeus with one hand. Attacking with both hands, the other hand grabbed the chin of the human head and twisted it forcefully, aiming at the sheep's head. The fire of hell spurted out, almost scorching the sheep's head. Fortunately, he was originally resistant enough to the fire of hell. At most, his skin was burned, and the rest was not a big problem. Asmodeus kept falling into the ground, struggling crazily to fight back. But they were all accurately blocked by Bai Xiao. A stupid flaw allowed Asmodeus to be suppressed to such a miserable state. The latter couldn't bear it anymore, he roared, and the eyes of the three heads bloomed with black light. Bai Xiao immediately sensed the crisis, until the other party tried to break free through an explosion of power. But would he let the other person go so easily? Stretching out his right hand, he slapped Asmod's chest heavily with his palm. The majestic spiritual power invaded Asmod's spiritual world, setting off a shocking spiritual storm, creating a large number of psychic bombs and bombarding him indiscriminately. In Asmodeus's spiritual world, there were violent waves, dense explosions, and a storm that turned into a spiritual disaster and raging, causing Asmodeus's head to short-circuit in an instant. Bai Xiao would never let go of this opportunity to beat up a drowned dog. Stretching out his right hand, golden light bloomed and surged, turning into a gorgeous long sword, similar to the shape of Saber's sword of victory, gorgeous, noble, and a long sword that symbolized victory. When held in the hand, golden starlight gathers, compresses into the sword body, and erupts with golden power to cover the sword body. Without any hesitation, he aimed at Asmod below and struck down. Boom! On the surface, the blood-colored earth within hundreds of thousands of meters was rendered golden. The layers of the earth's crust were cracked one by one. Each plate moved and fell. The raging golden magic power sprayed from the gaps between the plates, completely turning this area into a golden sacred land. Finally, the terrifying golden holy light shot out from the surface of the earth and shot straight into the sky. The golden beam of light with a diameter of hundreds of thousands of meters connects the blood-colored heaven and earth, and the domineering energy emerges from it. Asmodeus's demon's body can be seen with the naked eye, in which all his power is instinctively blooming. The black and purple are as muddy as mud, and the evil of the world. Energy struggled and resisted in the golden beam of light. Evil and holiness are at war. The storm swept across the world, and this majestic energy fluctuation also caused shock to the demon lords who were paying attention to this area. They watched silently, originally just sitting on the mountain and watching the fight between tigers, just wanting to see if they could be simple, but they also knew very well that when they noticed their greedy eyes, generally speaking, no matter how hateful their opponents were, they would only let stop there. But what these demon lords never expected was that the kid from Humans, who had no idea what kind of hatred he had for Asmodeus, actually completely ignored them, and didn't even care whether they would do it after the battle. Take advantage of the situation and start a war with Asmodeus. Okay, good fight. The demon lords, appreciate people with this kind of character. When it's time to strike, I won't show mercy. However, this human kid was a little too strong. This energy fluctuation made Asmodeus unable to fight back at all, although they also knew very well that the human kid took advantage of Asmodeus's stupidity to seize the flaw. Just being able to turn flaws into results is not something that ordinary people can do. However, the demon lords know how powerful humans are in their ability to seize opportunities, but after all, their combat power is at the same level, and it is impossible to kill Asmodeus. The follow-up is bound to be a 100-day war. Time passed little by little, a full week passed, and it was still raining continuously in the small town of Fox Daiwei, who was not moving, could hear the roar of lightning from time to time. In Chief Charlie's apartment. In the early morning, Bella changed her clothes. Since it was still March and it was raining, the weather was somewhat cold. Bella put on a grey long-sleeved thin coat and a dark green short-sleeved hooded jacket. I put on my jeans, put on my school bag, and went downstairs to the living room. In the kitchen, Chief Charlie, the father, happened to be carrying a plate with a typical Western breakfast of fried eggs, sandwiches, milk, etc. on the dining table. Charlie looked at his silent and worried daughter and sighed, "Don't worry, Bella, I have inquired about it. Xiao was invited by the police station in Cherno Town to cooperate in investigating a homicide because of his excellent painting skills. I have contacted Chief Molly of Cherno Town and confirmed the news. He will be back soon. You don't have to worry so much. A week ago, no one knew what happened. Xiao suddenly disappeared, and then Charlie felt that Bella seemed to be worried about something, and Xiao's RV had been staying in front of the house. Bella became more and more worried after not seeing Xiao for 2 consecutive days. Charlie also felt something was wrong. He thought that Xiao was taken away by someone by force. A foreign tourist ran to his town and disappeared, not to mention that he had helped him. As the chief of the town, Zhongli immediately sent a large number of people to find Xiao's trace. Even some local gangsters were searched, and finally Xiao's image was found on a street surveillance camera. Xiao was also seen riding the black Ducati motorcycle and seemed to leave the town in a hurry, followed by a black Chevrolet SUV. Charlie immediately mobilized his connections and looked for Xiao in the town of Cherno. He immediately contacted the local director Molly. It happened that the two towns were not too far apart, and he had some contact with the other party. The other party responded that a murder occurred in the town of Cherno, and the death toll seemed to be quite high. They were in a state of panic, and they didn't know where they got the news that Xiao was very good at painting. They needed Xiao's painting skills to draw a portrait of the murderer from the witnesses. It's just that there are a lot of people, so it takes some time. Charlie thought it was okay and reasonable. After all, there are experts in painting, but it's basically impossible to be assigned to a remote place like Foxtown and Cheno Town. Only big cities have them, and they are scarce talents. It takes time to apply for a transfer from the city. If you find a painting expert, you can't just ask him to go back quickly. Charlie thought it was okay, but Bella thought it was a big problem. She ate the fried egg with a fork, bit by bit, and kept thinking about the night a week ago. In front of the window of her room, the tall figure crushed the disgusting black breath and put the necklace on her neck with his own hands. Every word he said was still fresh in her memory, and she could only watch Bai leave in front of the window. Bai Xiao rode his motorcycle and disappeared into the night. She knew very well that he was not invited back by the Cheno police department, but was tracking down the demon, the legendary creature, the real demon. It had been a week, and Bai Xiao had not appeared yet. Did that mean that something unexpected might have happened? Bella was very worried. She wanted to find the boy right now, but Bella knew very well that she could do nothing about it. She was just an ordinary girl. She could not give Bai Xiao any help. Even if she found him, it might cause trouble for him. Bella hated herself for the first time at the moment. She even wondered why she was not a mutant. Maybe if she was a mutant, she could give Bai Xiao some help. Now, she could only pray silently, praying and waiting, and one day she would see the figure who brought her safety appear in front of her. After a while, after Bella finished her breakfast, she took the dinner plate to the kitchen to wash it. After putting away the tableware, she said to Charlie, "I'm going to school." After receiving the blessing from her father Charlie, Bella went out and drove the red Chevrolet pickup truck towards the school 477. Yes, today is her school day. In fact, the new semester in March is half over. She should have gone to school a few days ago, but because she was worried about Bai Xiao, she delayed for a few days. Under Charlie's persuasion, she still chose to go to school today. While driving, Bella unconsciously held the necklace around her neck with one hand. The necklace the boy gave her was magical. Just as the boy said, it would protect her on his behalf. When she was worried about the boy at night and couldn't sleep, the necklace seemed to be aware of her hesitation and communication, and it would bloom a ray of golden light and sink into her body. It soothed her mood and allowed her to fall asleep, as if the other person was by her side when she slept, looking at her with gentle eyes. And it seemed to have some kind of magical power, always it was transforming her body all the time. She could feel that her originally weak body was more energetic and healthy than before. She kept recalling the scenes of getting along and communicating with Xiao in her mind. Every action and every smile of the other party made her unforgettable. After a long time, the car drove to the school parking lot. The school was very big. Although it was not very new, it was even a little old, but it was very beautiful. The school was surrounded by trees and forests, and some vegetation was planted on the steps. In the early morning, many students were entering the school shoulder to shoulder, laughing and making noises. She stopped the car. Her old red Chevrolet pickup was very conspicuous among the students. Bella at the moment, she put on a brown hooded coat, opened the door and got out of the car. Such a delicate and fair-skinned girl attracted the attention of other students, regardless of gender. Several girls beside her turned their heads to look at the pickup truck and laughed, with some ridicule. Bella didn't care. She walked with a black school bag on her shoulder. On the other side, a black-skinned student next to a blonde girl in front of a car looked at Bella, his eyes flashed with surprise and said instinctively, "It's a very beautiful car," said Bella. Bella subconsciously reached out to stroke her hair, responded with a thank you, and walked towards the school. A slightly curly blonde girl next to the black boy behind her reached out and patted the boy. "This sentence is poisonous enough." The boy turned his head to look at the girl, put his hands in his pockets and didn't explain. He was not laughing at Bella, on the contrary, he wanted to know Bella. Chapter 95. Bella ignored the various looks coming her way. She was walking in the school, and as soon as she stepped into the school, an Asian student with long black hair approached. Bella was very alert and immediately turned her head to look. This Asian boy looked very lively and said to Bella in surprise when he came up. "Are you the new girl, Isabella Swan?" "Hey, I'm Eric, and I'm the jack of all trades at this school." The Asian boy was very lively and walked with Bella while gesticulating and saying, "What do you need?" "A tour guide, a lunch date, a shoulder to cry on." "Thank you, I don't need it. I'm more used to being alone." If it was Bella in the past, facing a strange environment, and a lively and cheerful boy suddenly appeared, Bella might not be able to adapt, but she might be very happy in her heart, but now, she is not in that mood. After saying that, he continued walking. "Okay, if you need anything, you can come to me, it's free." Although he was rejected, the Asian boy was still enthusiastic. "Thank you, Eric. I'll call you if I need anything." Bella accepted the kindness and immediately went to her classroom after saying that. Finding the classroom, Bella was not uncomfortable facing the many eyes in the classroom. In other words, it was more like she had closed her heart now. There was only one figure in her heart. Without getting the news that the boy was safe, she did not. It doesn't matter anything else. Definitely, in the exercise class, while playing volleyball, I still met two enthusiastic and proactive students. One was named Mike Newton, and the other was a boy named after the god of basketball and the father of physics. A white girl student with a somewhat round face, Jessica. At noon, Bella came to the cafeteria carrying a plate with today's lunch on it. She found an empty seat and sat down to enjoy today's lunch. Bella's beauty naturally attracted the attention of the students in the cafeteria. But just as we started eating, the students I knew, Eric, Mike Newton and Jessica, automatically came over. He also chatted with Bella enthusiastically. Bella was not particularly enthusiastic, but she was not good at rejecting other people's kindness. While they were chatting, a dark-skinned boy wearing a red coat suddenly came over and bent down to kiss Bella on the side. At the moment, Bella reacted very quickly, and the necklace around her neck automatically triggered the magic. Bella leaned back suddenly, grabbed the boy's neck with one hand and pressed down. It was directly pressed on the table, making a bang sound, which was also accompanied by the surprised screams of the friends at the table. "Wow! Hey, there's no need to be like this, it's just a joke." The black student was a little annoyed at being pinned down, and he immediately broke away. Bella was also shocked by her reaction. Faced with the anger of the black students, Bella recognized the boy who said "very nice car" that morning. She frowned and looked at him coldly. This joke is not funny at all. She touched the necklace with one hand, covering up the faint golden light emitted. She knew that the power that had just emerged was given by the necklace. "Come on Taylor, Bella doesn't like jokes like this." The white student named Mike quickly patted the black student Taylor on the shoulder. The latter shrugged, as if he realized that the joke was too frivolous and disgusted the new beautiful girl, so he immediately apologized. "I'm sorry, Bella, it was my fault." The attitude was very good, and Bella didn't hold on to him, so she didn't suffer any disadvantage. It's just that his attitude towards Taylor was not good. Taylor also realized this and left. "Taylor is just too lively, don't mind, Bella." Seeing Bella's expressionless look, Mike weakly explained to his good friend, but then he was slapped by Jessica next to him. Not saying anything. Bella remained silent, but Eric on the side said exaggeratedly, "That's so cool, Bella, you just looked like Wonder Woman, wow. Really handsome." After saying this, a girl wearing glasses and a camera sat down and looked at Bella with admiration, which made Bella a little uncomfortable. While speaking, Bella seemed to sense something. She turned around and saw a group of people walking toward the canteen through the window outside the canteen. They are the Cullen family, the adopted children of Dr. Cullen and his wife. They seem to have moved here from Alaska a few years ago. Jessica followed Bella's gaze and saw the group of people, and immediately explained. Angela also chimed in, they don't socialize very well. Yes, because they have been together, the kind of together, the blonde one is Rosalie, and the black-haired boy is Emmett. They are a couple. I don't know if this is legal or not. It's okay Jessie, they're not related by blood. Yeah, but they live together, that's weird. Jessie had a really strange expression, and then continued, there is also the little black-haired girl named Alice, she is the number one. It's strange, but the one she's paired with is Jasper, the blonde boy with a painful look on his face. Dr. Cullen seems to be both an adoptive father and a matchmaker. Jessica twisted at the end. Maybe he will adopt me. Angela talked about Dr. Cullen, but also expressed some shyness. Bella listened to the introduction, nodded, then lowered her head and continued eating her lunch. She just felt that when these people walked by, the necklace around her neck radiated another ray of heat, as if it was giving her a hint. This made Bella feel that the Cullen family seemed not very simple, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of defensiveness in her heart. While eating, another handsome boy walked in. Jessica was immediately shy and a little excited when she saw it. Look, he is Edward Cullen. Needless to say, you know that he is so handsome, but obviously no one here can match him. Bella glanced at him and saw that he was indeed a handsome boy, but she didn't feel anything about him. Continue to lower your head and eat. Over there, by the cafeteria window, the Cullen family was sitting together. Alice, who was called Strange Number 1, took Jasper's hand and whispered to several other family members, do you feel weird? What did you feel too? The blonde beauty Rosalie sat next to Emmett and looked at Bella, who was eating with her head down not far away. The same was true for the others, including Edward. Bella was sitting on a chair not far away. All she could see was the profile of her face, but for some reason, he felt a pounding heart in his heart. He stared at Bella's side face, but was shocked to find that the ability he possessed, the ability to read minds, didn't seem to work on that girl. She is a new student, I think her name is Isabella Swan. Alice also looked at Bella and said softly, she has a strange power that makes me feel a little scared. I also feel that she is not an ordinary person. Rosalie nodded. Edward didn't speak, just stared at Bella. In the following days, the Cullen family became wary of Bella. Bella went to and from school by herself, while the Cullen family paid attention to Bella consciously or unconsciously. Edward and other family members had different concerns. He had an inexplicable feeling for this girl who couldn't see through her heart. He wanted to contact her, he wanted to talk to her, and he wanted to be with her, but he knew that he was a vampire and he couldn't let her go. Bring the other person into their own world. Moreover, he felt that the girl did not seem to be interested in him at all. Instead, there was some sadness between her eyebrows. Why was she sad? He wanted to rush to the girl and ask. In the classroom, Edward, who was sitting behind Bella, stared at Bella's back. But Bella, looking out the window, was missing someone else. Hell, a huge war lasted for half a month. This half-month war has attracted the attention of all the major forces in Hell. Demons big and small, Hell hunters and other demons all know that a powerful human has broken into Hell and is fighting against the demon king Asmo. Germany launched a war. This level is extremely rare in Hell. Areas with a radius of millions of kilometers have been devastated by bombings. Deep pits large and small are so shocking that it will make people shudder. The golden sky occupies the ordinary world, and the black-purple energy is like a long river occupying other places. Half the world is against it. Two powers with different attributes and two distinct worlds confront each other, threatening to tear the space in half. Boom! At the center of the collision of two vast energies, above the sky, Xiao held the sword of victory and Asmod's sword in his hand and collided with each other. The center of the two swords splashed with sparks and brilliant colors due to the confrontation. Black, purple and gold stars. The two people inside, human and demon, are like a world-famous painting frozen in this moment. Xiao was still wearing a black coat and white t-shirt half a month ago, without any change. On the contrary, Asmod was different. At the moment, he looked a little embarrassed. Among the three heads, the sheep's head and the cow's head had been chopped off. Falling off, wounds as large as file-sized appeared on the demon's body, with black and purple blood flowing. Damn it, why is this human being so powerful? It's just like a monster. During the confrontation, Asmodeus was struggling to hold on. At this moment, the face of the human head was solemn, but his eyes were anxious. It has been half a month. In this half-month, he has gone from being angry at the beginning to being in disbelief. No one knows how painful this process is, only he knows it. As a Lord-level demon, he has participated in countless file-size wars and seen all kinds of life, but the black-haired human in front of him gave him a different feeling. Half a month ago, because of the flaw that he revealed in a daze, he was caught by the opponent and attacked wildly, suppressing his rhythm. For this, he paid some price to regain the rhythm. But I didn't expect that in the past half-month, the result was that the victory gradually shifted to the opponent. The opponent seemed to enjoy the battle and used various magics in the battle, which Asmodeus had never seen before. Novel magic. Moreover, the opponent's physical strength was bottomless, and the energy in his body seemed to be endless. He fought with him continuously for half a month, and he did not see any weakness in his breath. On the contrary, Asmod was surprised to find that the opponent's breath was still weak. He is constantly rising and gradually adapting to this level of combat. Yes, the opponent is adapting to this level of battle. At first, this human suppressed him crazily and fiercely, and then was forced back by Asmodeus. Asmodeus discovered that the opponent was not familiar with this level of battle, so that Asmodeus Smolder had a vague feeling of suppressing his opponent at first. However, as time passed, Asmodeus was astonished by the opponent's ability to adapt. It was so fast, and it took almost only half a day to adapt to such a high-intensity war. Then he made progress bit by bit, analyzing all his habits during the battle, and dissecting him completely. Xiao Mohao. The battle began to become one-sided. Asmodeus found that he had been suppressed again. He could only resist reluctantly. He could only resist and could not even fight back. All his thoughts seemed to be penetrated by the opponent's terrifying golden eyes. There was no fight at all. Asmodeus has already I have realized that it is true that the other party kills him, and it is also true that he uses fighting to stimulate his own growth. The other party was not the kind of madman he imagined, but a madman with a purpose. Asmodeus didn't know when the emotion of fear emerged in his heart. He was afraid. He felt that the other party really had the ability to kill him. He was also regretting why he wanted to mark that girl Liang in the first place. Asmod's emotional changes were also captured by many demon lords, and they were definitely used by the Supreme to rob the city. The Ancient One stood on the edge of the Kamartaj cliff, looking up at the sky, seeing this picture across dimensions through the endless void, and chuckled. Cowardice is the beginning of death. So, you have completed your mission, you deserve to die. The Ancient One's words seemed to reach Bai Xiao's ears across time and space. Bai Xiao's figure leaned forward, cold and cold. He said, "It's time to end. Max mode is on." Boom. I saw a mysterious pattern looming between Bai Xiao's eyebrows, and then the majestic magic power beyond everyone's imagination was suddenly released from it, pouring into Bai Xiao's body, and the surging golden power was visible to the naked eye. The craze of color energy appears as if it were material. Dozens of times overwhelming energy was superimposed. Chapter 96. This is impossible. Asmodeus was struggling to fight Bai Xiao, but the opponent suddenly said something out of the blue, and his power suddenly increased dozens of times, completely defeating Asmodeus. The great sword shattered with the increase in power, and the fragments were all over the sky. Asmodeus's body also tilted backwards due to the huge power. His only head was full of disbelief. How is this possible? In this level of war, after half a month, the power not only did not weaken, but suddenly increased dozens of times. What is this? Asmodeus had never seen it, let alone heard of it. But no matter how much he didn't believe it, the fact was that Bai Xiao's MXA mode increased dozens of times, and the surging magic power was infused into his body, making his skin seem to be rendered in gold. The surging compressed magic power was continuously released from the dimensional world between the eyebrows, and the majestic power of the body could no longer be suppressed. And he didn't intend to suppress it. He wanted to completely release this power through Asmodeus and get the most effective data. Boom. 623. A golden ripple flashed. Bai Xiao's figure had already disappeared, so fast that Asmodeus, and even the other demon lords who had been watching, could not notice it. Originally, half of the world was occupied by the black and purple energy frenzy. Now, the surging golden energy was like a torrent, directly overwhelming and swallowing up the energy. Under the golden sky, Bai Xiao rushed to Asmodeus, tearing through the air when Asmodeus did not react at all, holding the sword of promise of victory and mercilessly chopped off the only head left of Asmodeus. The latter's head and eyes were still full of astonishment and fear, which should not be like this. Bai Xiao was merciless, and the sword of promise of victory in his hand kept waving in his hand. The golden sword light in the air was like a graceful dancer dancing tango, like a smart elf, and under the beauty, it brought cruel death. Asmodeus's the demon's body was chopped into more than 1,000 pieces by Bai Xiao in 1 second. Not only that, Bai Xiao also chopped Asmodeus's the demon's body into more than 1,000 pieces in 1 second. Xiao pointed his left palm at the pieces of meat. Ouch! The gorgeous golden magic circle expanded from dozens of meters in the palm of his hand, and the surging golden magic roared and engulfed, turning them into powder. Asmodeus was just a floating head. Seeing this situation, he wanted to escape, but unfortunately, how could Xiao let him go at this time? Ong! Asmodeus was shocked to find that in all directions, in the sky, golden vortices turned into a circle and completely enveloped him. In addition, a square magic barrier enveloped him, isolating the space, making it impossible for Asmodeus to escape through space. Weapons shining with golden light like stars emerged from the golden vortex and aimed at the only head left of Asmodeus. Despair, Asmodeus was completely disheartened. He knew that he would die. He closed his eyes and waited for death to come. Before he died, he recalled his wife Lilith in his mind. He regretted and resented what happened in the past and resented Lilith's coldness and ruthlessness. But then he understood. Asmodeus knew that this was hell, and demons would also have feelings. It was just that Asmodeus had lost Lilith's love. Login to continue reading. Chapter 97. Forks High School. In the afternoon, the school bell rang, and students packed their books and put them in their bags to get ready for school. Bella was wearing a blue-gray long-sleeved top and carrying a school bag and walked towards the locker. At this moment, Bella suddenly wanted to notice something. She looked back and saw the boy named Edward hesitating something. When she saw Bella's eyes seemed to have plucked up the courage to walk up to Bella. "Hey, I'm Edward Cullen." "Bella." Bella frowned slightly, but still responded. "Is there a problem? I want to get to know you." Edward said honestly that he was curious about the girl in front of him. This girl who could not read her heart exuded a mysterious aura that constantly attracted him. "Then we already know each other, goodbye." Bella nodded, said something polite, turned around, opened the locker, took out her coat, and prepared to leave. Edward behind him was a little stunned. He didn't expect Bella to give such an answer at all. Bella took 2 steps, as if she thought of something, stopped, then turned around and walked back to look at Edward. She noticed that the boy's eyes in front of her were a golden brown that she had never seen before, but she didn't care about this. He said softly, "I have someone I like, and I'm waiting for him, so." Bella said very decisively, she hoped that the other party was disturbing her, which would cause trouble to her. "Is that so?" Bitterness flashed across Edward's handsome and pale face, but when Bella said this, he didn't bother with it. "I'm sorry, I know." After saying that, Xi passed Bella by some noises and left the school. Outside the school parking lot, crowds were surging. In the gloomy weather, the noise seemed a bit noisy, and the ground seemed a bit slippery because of the rain. Bella passed many students and walked to the parking lot opposite to find her red Chevrolet pickup truck. She looked at her car, and Bai Xiao's words seemed to ring in her ears. "He's a handsome guy." Her beautiful and delicate face couldn't help but smile, but then she looked sad. "How are you, Xiao? I'm really worried about you." At the same time, in the parking space opposite her, the Karen family was in front of their car, looking at Bella intentionally or unintentionally. She looked sad. Alice said softly. Rosalie gave an affirmative answer, "She is missing another person, and the other man makes her unable to forget him. It makes such an outstanding girl remember him so deeply. It really makes people wonder how outstanding that person will be." When he said this, he looked specifically at Edward who was standing at the front of the car staring at Bella. A trace of unwillingness flashed across her beautiful face. Edward didn't speak. He kept thinking about Bella's smile in his mind. When he thought about the decisive words he had just said to him, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed in his heart. He didn't know what was wrong with him, but he couldn't control this emotion. Suddenly, his eyes froze, and other members of the Cullen family also seemed to feel something. They looked in another direction, not far from Bella's red pickup truck. "I don't know when a stranger is standing. A stranger that no one has ever seen. It's him." Alice's pupils were slightly dilated, with fear involuntarily on her beautiful face. As for Bella, at the moment she woke up from the memories and sighed silently. Just as Bella was about to open the car door, her hand suddenly stopped. An inexplicable feeling came over her heart, and her body stiffened. Then he subconsciously turned his head and looked to the right. A figure that haunted her was standing there without knowing when. Wearing the black jacket, white t-shirt, jeans and white sneakers that she last saw, her tall figure and handsome face attracted the attention of many students just by standing there. Resemble. Bella couldn't believe her eyes. She shouted subconsciously, and then she saw a bright smile on the boy's face. Her eyes couldn't help but become moist, and she was too stubborn not to shed tears, ignoring the school bag hanging on her right shoulder. Unconsciously, he spread his legs and rushed towards the boy. In the astonished eyes of all the students, she threw herself into the boy's arms. He rushed too fast. In order to prevent the girl from being hit hard, Bai Xiao deliberately leaned back to relieve his pressure, holding the girl's waist with both hands. The girl's head was buried deep in Bai Xiao's neck, sucking greedily. Smell. I've been thinking about you, Xiao. You're finally back. I have so many questions to ask you. It's driving me crazy these days. I'm so glad to see you again. The girl couldn't suppress her emotions now, and she bravely spoke out her truest thoughts. Bai Xiao hugged the girl, and the two hugged each other tightly, as if they wanted to melt each other into their bodies. He didn't expect that these days of his absence would make this girl so brave. I know you've been waiting for me, so I'm back. Bai Xiao whispered softly in the girl's ear. These affectionate words made the girl hold Bai Xiao's hands with strength again. Under the gaze of all the students, the two hugged each other as if no one else was watching. Seeing such a scene, the students' eyes widened, and the silence suddenly became noisy again. Thousands of gifts, who is that guy? Bella's brother. Damn it, why can he hug Bella? He can't be Bella's boyfriend. Didn't Bella just transfer from Phoenix, Arizona? When did she find her boyfriend? Or did she know her at school over there in Arizona? What the hell, why is such a beautiful girl already married? Shouldn't she stay single forever? Shut up, Borg, you know that a girl like Bella can never have a boyfriend. Look at this picture, how beautiful it is. Don't you think that boy is also handsome? Why does he feel even more handsome than Edward? More elegant? The students stared at Bella and Bai Xiao hugging each other and talked about it one after another. Most of the boys could not accept it. Since Bella transferred to another school, all the students knew that Bella was the most beautiful girl in the school. Everyone will have some small thoughts, but before they come into contact, they see this terrible scene. Girls pay more attention to this love, which is so in line with their fantasies. The affectionate embrace of handsome men and beautiful women, and a dreamy kiss would be great, but even so, they still look like their aunts are laughing. Log in to continue reading. Chapter 98. Revenge makes me lost. Have you heard of the rainy night butcher? Bai Xiao held the girl's shoulder with one hand, and processed the content a little, and got a positive response from the girl. The girl raised her head and looked at Bai Xiao in surprise. Is that the rainy night butcher you? Yi. Later, by another accident, I discovered vampires and saw how they harmed humans. I woke up from my hatred and embarked on the road of hunting vampires. I have fought against the blood god, the ancestor of vampires. I have also rescued several innocent students who were used as sacrifices, and I have fought against the summoned ancient gods. I also met a group of magicians that no one knew existed and silently guarded the world. I learned magic and learned the truth about the world from them. I am destined to embark on a road stained with blood, Bella. Bai Xiao and Bella looked at each other affectionately. Bella didn't waste any time and chose A directly. The two kissed, feeling each other's warm and strong love flowing in their hearts. After a while, the sound of the door being opened came from the door below, accompanied by the shout of Charlie, the old father. Bella, are you back? Hearing her old father's cry, Bella was like a frightened deer, hurriedly leaving, her delicate face full of ruddy colors. I'm back. Bella glanced at Bai Xiao, who looked at her with a pair of bright eyes, stood up, and patted Bai Xiao shyly. Bai Xiao said softly, we should go down, Bella, I think Charlie won't let me go if we delay. I don't want to be caught and taken to the police station. I won't let him do that, and I'm sure Charlie will support me. After saying that, Bella pulled Bai Xiao and walked down. On the first floor, Charlie was wearing a police uniform. He originally lowered his head and put on clean shoes at the door, but when he stood up straight, he saw Bella and Xiao walking down the stairs. The old father's eyes widened. He stared blankly at Bai Xiao and his daughter, especially the rosy look on his daughter's face. The old father looked at Bai Xiao in disbelief. When did this guy come back? It seems that he even went to his daughter's room? Hey, Charlie! So, aren't you going to explain? Charlie! Bella looked at her father angrily. Charlie exhaled from his nose like an angry bull. When he saw his daughter's angry look, he had no choice but to pretend that he didn't see it. He walked to the kitchen and took out 2 cans of beer from the refrigerator, handing one to Bai Xiao. Okay, it seems we need to talk, kid. Late at night, in the RV outside the door, Charlie put on an ordinary brown coat and t-shirt, sat on a chair, held a beer in his hand, and put some steaks and other food on the table in front of him. Bai Xiao sat opposite, touched Charlie with a can of beer, then raised his head and drank. I've investigated you, Xiao, since that incident happened. Login to continue reading. Chapter 99. Bai Xiao's eyes gradually brightened. He looked at Natasha Romanoff in front of him and said softly, since you regard me as your lover and want me to spend the night with you, then let me find you. I also want to know how beautiful Lilith was, who once fascinated Asmodeus. Don't you want to possess me? I can't wait any longer. Bai Xiao couldn't wait to reach Lilith's position, and then drew out his sword and hacked the opponent to death. Another Lord-level demon came to the door. Asmodeus had already asked him to report to Heavenly Father at the Sub-Heavenly Father life level. Take a big leap. I believe that the life essence of Lilith's existence is definitely not inferior to that of Asmodeus. And since the two are husband and wife and lovers, they must love each other and die together. Bai Xiao acted like a normal man, but Lilith seemed very cautious. She was not anxious, but looked at the human boy with love, his handsome face, tall figure, body full of vitality, everything. It all fascinated her. She stared at Bai Xiao affectionately and said softly. Believe me, my love, I want to appear in front of you immediately and let you possess me, but I can't now. There is violent turmoil in hell. The problems left by Asmodeus have caused more than 10 demon lords to fight for me. This problem must be solved. Asmodeus has what I want, and I need to get it back, so that I can be the truly complete Lilith. I can't appear in front of you with an incomplete attitude. My sweetheart. After finishing speaking, Natasha Romanoff and Barton in front of them emitted black and purple gas and disappeared completely. It turns out that both Natasha Romanoff and Barton were created by Lilith through the deception magic and black magic, and they were very real, just like real people. She is also worthy of her status as Lilith. If Bai Xiao wasn't originally at the top level among level Godfather in terms of perception, he probably wouldn't be able to see through it. When Lilith suddenly came to her door, Bai Xiao felt nothing but regret. Such a Lord-level demon chooses to actively dedicate himself to fulfill his love Bai Xiao. What a perfect script, but it's a pity that it went wrong from the beginning. Bai Xiao also knows that Lilith knows how stupid he is despite being stupid. Asmodeus, the other party's former lover, provoked Bai Xiao, and he single-handedly rushed into hell and hacked the other party to death. Even if Lilith was a nymphomaniac, she couldn't just run up to Bai Xiao without any reservations. What's more, if Lilith can become a Lord-level demon, she cannot be a nymphomaniac. The other party became interested in him and tried to possess him. Bai Xiaoxin, just listen to the words my lover and so on. Lilith is completely a black widow, squeezing all men dry and then killing them brutally. In Bai Xiao's eyes, this kind of role can only be based on experience. In fact, most of the creatures like demons, unless they are Queen Morgana, have no favorable impressions. Only the demons killed by him are good demons, such as Asmodeus. Login to continue reading. Chapter 100. After Bai Xiao returned, he was in no hurry to leave Foxtown. After all, Bella's appearance also made him prepare to stay here for a while, but the hug between Bella and Bai Xiao at school aroused widespread concern among the students at the school. It also caused heated discussions among many people. Likewise, it also attracted the attention of the Cullen family. On this day, Bai Xiao rode that cool black Ducati motorcycle and brought Bella to school. After Bella kissed Bai Xiao sweetly, she handed the helmet to Bai Xiao and walked happily. Went to school. Along the way, I met many students who greeted Bella. Bella was in a good mood and responded. There are definitely a few friends I met in school, the Korean student named Eric and Mike Newton, who were a little disappointed. After all, they had a crush on Bella from the beginning. However, when they learned that Bella had a boyfriend, they gave up completely and it was not bad to just be friends. Xiao looked at Bella, who turned around after a few steps. He waved his hand funny, then stepped on the motorcycle to leave. Before leaving, he glanced back in the direction of the school. It was this glance that made Dr. Cullen, who was secretly observing 513 in front of the passage window on the second floor of the school, couldn't help but stumble back. A trace of unnaturalness flashed across the mature, handsome, and pale face. After learning that Alice had said that a strange Asian boy had come to school, and that he was sure to be the figure in Alice's prediction, Carlisle Cullen felt that there was something unusual. Coupled with the fact that he happened to meet him, he subconsciously observed it, but he didn't expect the other person. He would be so keen, even though he just glanced at it casually. But Carlisle is a vampire, and his senses are far greater than those of humans, and he feels a great fear from it. Even if the other party doesn't show any malice, this is what really illustrates the problem. This means that the boy has enough power to make him fearful. The opponent's life level is far higher than that of Carlisle as a vampire. At this point, I am afraid that the werewolves in the town, or other vampire family elders, would not be able to give him such a feeling. It is indeed as Alice said, it is indeed very dangerous. He murmured, but Carlisle showed a smile instead, because he knew, and through today, he confirmed that the boy should not be harmful to their Cullen family. Causing danger. At least there is no need to escape to other places. Carlisle liked this town very much and would have stayed here if he could. So, our Mr. Butcher is now in a relationship with a white girl in Forks Town. Is this the useful information you found? In the Long Island headquarters building office, Nick Fury looked at Natasha Romanoff on the computer screen in front of him with a dark face. Natasha Romanoff at the moment was wearing a floral skirt top and sunglasses, sitting on a chair outside the Fox Town Center coffee shop on the table in front of her. There is a laptop with headphones on. Looks like a leisurely vacation. Log in to continue reading. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.